little Ryu promises his aunt that he will become an adventurer when he acquires a skill. A skill can be acquired by anyone after turning 14. The adult Ryui, covered in wounds, lies on the ground. About 5 years ago, at the skill awarding ceremony, Ryui's friends received their skills. Friends are happy and promise to help people. Ryu did not acquire any skill. The elder is surprised that 3 people at once have received high-level skills. Friends approach the boy and say that he is very dear to them. Ryuya is touched by their attitude towards him, after which they unexpectedly abandon him. The guys leave laughing, leaving the boy in shock. Meanwhile, Ryuya is grabbed by the hair, being told that he was told to leave. The apostle gives the boy advice that there is no point in accumulating experience without skill. Ryuya is thrown out of the building, and the apostle says that the attempt to gain experience may result in death. He also says that the guy must choose the most suitable path for himself. Ryuya understands that he is lost, as acquiring a skill for an orphan is a ticket to a better life. He believes that if his friends are happy, then he will be happy too. In the end, the boy starts to cry because he is upset that he is the only one who did not receive a skill. The boy wonders how he will live now, as he will quickly perish alone. He decides that he will have to make a bed again by any means. Ryu is determined to raise the level. The guy doesn't care how many people before him try to improve their skill without skill. He believes he has nothing left to lose. Ryuya was able to kill the monster only after a few days. The guy understands that at this rate, he will quickly die. The guy decides that since he is going to die anyway, he will continue his attempt. In the depths of the forest, the boy met a blue dragon. Seeing the dragon, Ryuya realizes that it's the end for him when he unexpectedly hears a voice. It turns out the voice belongs to a dragon. The dragon says the boy is lucky because fate has brought him together with a dragon, while the boy is in shock. The dragon asks what the boy desires. Ryuya doesn't understand what nonsense the dragon is talking about, but still decides to answer. The boy desires power so great that he can manage without skill. The dragon laughs, but agrees nonetheless. The dragon says that he must seize his own desire, and he will help the boy. The dragon will become a devilish coach for the boy. 5 years later, the now grown-up Ryui is lying on the ground. The break is over, and the boy gets up. The dragon suggests he check his status. The boy's skills turn out to be quite high, but he still believes that he needs to train. The dragon says that people's skills usually do not exceed the 99th level. The dragon says that his ultimate level is 10 million, and suggests the guy stop at this figure. Ryuya thanks the teacher, and the dragon leaves, leaving the boy a farewell gift. The dragon says that now the guy needs to go and act. When asked if they will meet again, the dragon replies if the guy's fate determines it. These 5 years were like a dream. For Ryu, he almost died many times. Suddenly, goblins appeared, interrupting the boy's memories. Ryu skillfully deals with them using only his fists. Through his training, the young man not only gained strength, but also cleansed his soul of minor discontent and hostility. The guy decides to once again implement his plan and become an adventurer. He walks contentedly when suddenly a gang of people stops him. They offer to escort the guy to a safe place, as it is dangerous here. Ryu directly asks the bandits about the kidnapping of people. They immediately confess and tell the guy to go with them if he doesn't want to die. Ryu admits that he has no skills, to which one of the bandits says that they have a special device that evaluates skill. In the end, Ryuya kills this bandit with a single blow, leaving the other bandits in shock. The bandits are about to attack the boy, but he quickly deals with them. One of the bandits begs for mercy, but Ryuya believes that if he lets him go, he will start kidnapping and selling people again. Suddenly, another bandit appears. Ryu understands that this is most likely their leader, while the man, in the meantime, admits that he has the skill of enhancement. Ryuya says that a skill should be used for others, while a leader uses it for himself. In the end, the boy agrees to test his strength. He takes a clod of earth and lifts it with one hand, which shocks the leader. The guy throws a clod of earth at the leader, then notices someone above. He quickly climbs up and sees the slave trader in front of him. The trader immediately falls to his knees, saying that the guys were his bodyguards. The trader tries to involve the boy in his business, but in the end, the boy kills him. Ryu peeks into the cart, where he finds a girl. The guy took the girl to the fashion center, where they ask her if she has any clothing preferences. The girl is very embarrassed. The girl is very nervous because Ryuya brought her here and said that she can choose anything she wants. It turns out the girl told the guy that she would do anything and asked him to take her with him. She also mentioned that she had gone through the blessing ceremony. The girl acquired some astonishing skill, after which everyone in her native village began to behave strangely. And then she was kidnapped by traders altogether. The girl does not want to return to the village, and in the end, the guy agrees to take her with him. The girl was provided with suitable clothing and the guy paid for it. The girl is grateful to Ryuya and promises to do everything for him. Finally, after 5 years, the guy returned. The girl, however, is thrilled with the big city. The guys come to the guild, and Ryuya warns that there are many ruffians in the city, as abilities mean everything. The guildmaster scares the kids, and the girl, in tears, hides behind the boy. The woman notes that the boy has strong nerves. Ryu explains that he has been training and asks to be registered as an adventurer. The girl enters into a dialogue and says that the guy saved her. The master repeats what is necessary for an adventurer. In the end, the guy is accepted, as the list of requirements does not mention the need for skill. The girl is happy and says that the master is good. Ryuya says that he killed the slave trader and his assistants, after which he gives the master's belongings to that trader. The master is shocked, reviewing the papers, and considers it a cool gift before registration. The master hands Ryu a guild card that shows information about the adventurer. The guy turns out to be at the 17th level and steps away to check his skills. Ryu returns, clarifying the maximum level, and realizes that the map simply cannot count a number higher than 99. As a result, the registration is completed, but unexpectedly, the girl asks to be hired as well. The master has no reason to refuse, and she asks if Noam is ready to summon her skill. The master believes that it is difficult for a girl to show her skill to others, but she is determined. Noam demonstrates her skills, and the guildmaster is shocked by the girl's skill. The master is delighted with the girl's skill, and considers the girl to be like a golden egg. Noam says she only wants to be with Ryuya, and the guy decides to help her if he can. Other adventurers try to lure Noam to their side, but Ryuya refuses them. After 40 minutes, the master tells Ryu not to worry about those people in the guild. She also begins training the recruits. After a few minutes, the guys finish collecting medicinal herbs. The master is shocked because the herbs turn out to be of the highest quality. There is an area on the plain that cannot be stepped on. The master mentions that the place they are going to is inspected only once, so they must remember everything. The Adventurers Guild has designated a forbidden area where entry is prohibited and has dubbed it the Zone of Evil Spirits. Half of the territory has been taken over by evil spirits, and if you enter here carelessly, you could die. The master decides to show the kids her skill. With her skill, the master has repeatedly saved adventurers from certain death. Suddenly, a legion approaches the guys, and the master tells everyone to run. The girls run away, but Ryuya stays in place, where he is eaten by a monster. The girls are in a panic as Ryuya unexpectedly kills the monster with one blow. Now the girls are in shock. The master is shocked and thinks that the guy has some kind of skill. Ryuya says that if he continues in the same spirit, there will be no monsters left on the plain. After 35 minutes, the guys reach the center, where there is a castle. The guy asks why the girls followed him, to which Noam replied that she did not want to part with the guy. Ryu broke into the throne room and asked the girl sitting on the throne if she was the boss of the evil spirits. The girl introduced herself as one of the higher beings and owns this world. She is one of the 18 devilish spirits. She is the devilish spirit Abinion. The guy asks the girl to disappear and says that this place appeared because of her. The girl, however, is not sure that the place appeared because of her, and says that the monsters simply gravitated towards her. Abinion liked it here, which is why she settled. The guy insists that she leave, and the girl, listening to the guy's words, concludes that the weak submit to the strong. The guy asks if his girlfriend will obey him if he turns out to be stronger. In the end, Abinion gets angry and says he will kill Ryu. The girls are in shock, after which the spirit notices them. The spirit says to spare them, but in return, they will spread around the district how the guy died. Ryuya thinks the girl is kind, as he thought she would kill everyone. He also says that he liked her. The girl blushes and says that if he flatters her, nothing will work out. Ryuya says that he will not take the girl's life until her complete surrender. Anibion is angry again and says she will give the guy a lecture about the structure of this world. In the end, She starts lecturing all three of them. She explains the maximum levels of people, devils, and devilish spirits, and says what her level is. The girls panic, thinking that no one can defeat the level of the spirit, but Ryu doesn't care. The guy uses a technique and begins to deal with the spirit. The spirit feels her body evaporating, and the guy stops. The girls notice that the spirit has turned pale. Ryu admits to his level, which shocks everyone. Anibion surrenders and falls to her knees. The guy is surprised that she believed him, while the girl, in the meantime, apologizes and asks if the guy is familiar with someone like a giant snake. The girl says that in addition to the three higher beings, there are also snake dragons. She also calls the guy Your Majesty, and says that he is chosen by the snake dragon. This is how peace came to the plane. The girls are surprised by the guy's high level and consider him great. Ryuya still considers himself talentless, so now he will often rely on those who have been gifted with a great skill. Noam gladly says that he will help Ryuya. The spirit follows the guys, to which the boy wonders why she is still here. The girl says she has already removed the lock, and the boy asks her not to cause any trouble. The spirit decides to stay with the guy and return to the city with the company. The spirit also says that she has something to give to Ryu. Suddenly, she kisses the guy, leaving the girls in shock. The guy is surprised that, despite the girl being a ghost, she can be touched. Now the spirit and Ryuya are spiritually connected. The spirit suggests looking at the girls, and the guy, having looked, saw their parameters. Anibian shared her power with the guy. Without any doubt, it's her modest help. The girl makes a cute face, asking if the guy really can't accept her help, to which Ryuya doesn't understand how a spirit can have such a cute face. In the end, the guys returned to the city where they were met by Dogiza. Dogiza is surprised that the guy is without skill in weapons. The man says that the guy will answer for his younger brother. The man decides that, from today, he is the master, and the guild master is his mistress. In the end, Ryuya beat up that guy and then cleared the guild of troublemakers. The next day, the master gave the kids a dungeon quest and said that they were in a difficult situation. The master thanks the guys for liberating the plane and dealing with Dogiza and his gang. The girl also raised Ryuya's rank. The guys are climbing the ranks too quickly, so the master said they are in a difficult situation. The master believes that the guys will not be left alone and the guild will not be able to protect them. Ryu contemplates his abilities and realizes that he can seriously start a war. The young man understands that he cannot use his power solely for his own benefit. After some time, the guys find themselves near the dungeon gates. They need to gather some materials in the dungeon. The dungeon guide turns the guys away due to their low level. Ryu hands over a letter of recommendation from the master. In the end, the guys are let into the dungeon. Ryuya asks Noem to stay closer, but the girl wants to clarify about the materials, but the guide interrupts them. The guide says that a strong skill solves everything. Soon the guys arrive at the first target and want to collect the material, but the guide stops them, saying that it's a trap. The guide explains that the root is the body of the monster and it can attack. Meanwhile, Ryuya pulls out the root and asks if this is it. The guide is shocked. She explains that the root should have escaped, to which the guy says that he quickly pulled it out. It turns out that the root the guy pulled out is precious. The guys continue on their way and approach the second target. The guy also handles it with agility and speed. The guide is in complete shock and says that the last material is very dangerous. The last material is red sand. It is very dangerous and crumbles upon contact with air. As a result, the guys encounter it very quickly. Ryuya thinks about how to conquer this sand and decides to dive into it, despite the fact that it is poisonous. After a couple of minutes, the guy surfaces as if nothing had happened. In the end, the guy retrieved the core of sand, while Noam, in the meantime, brought him the antidote. The spirit says that the core can melt, while the guide is in shock at the sight of the spirit. The guide realizes that she underestimated the young man. A week later, the master introduces the guys to the head of the Craftsman's Guild. The head is shocked by the rare materials obtained by the guys. The master says that the quest is not yet finished. Noam understands that the collected materials are needed for the X potion. Ryuya asks for more details about this potion, and the master explains. The leader says that such a potion can be created by a person with a high skill in alchemy, but there is no one like that in his guild. The chief also says that such a person is worth their weight in gold. Noam is called upon to create this potion. The girl talks about her skill and goes to prepare a potion. The The head is shocked that there was such a person in the Adventurers Guild, and a week later the girl finishes. The head asks Nomum to join the Guild of Craftsmen and offers her the best conditions, but the girl refuses. Despite her refusal, the girl is ready to fulfill orders if they appear. The boss says he has one more request. It turns out the king is expecting the guys, and they arrive. King Leonard praises the girl's potions and says that they will definitely save the country. The king wants to reward the children and grants the girl the Order of the Green Spirit. Unexpectedly, the girl asks to be heard. Noam is credited with all of Ryu's achievements, while the guy himself denies everything, saying that he is just the girl's guardian. In the end, the guys tell the king the whole story, and the king asks the guy about the skill. Ryuya confesses, and the king decides that the guy is lying. Ryuya shows the guild card as proof, but the minister still thinks the guy is lying. In the end, the minister wants to drive the guy away, and Noam is also about to leave. The minister says that they are doing this for Noam, because why should such a talent stand with such trash? The girl covers her ears and is troubled that she does not want to hear insults directed at the savior. A spirit appears and begins to threaten the destruction of the palace, which frightens the king and the minister. The minister immediately sends the guards to the spirit. Ryuya tries to stop everyone and explains everything. Everyone is shocked by the spirit the guy has tamed. The minister, however, tells the king that it's all a trick. Annie Ion says that she is able to see the power of the guy and explains that Ryuya was a disciple of the dragon, and also mentions his level. The king and the minister are in complete shock, while the girl praises herself. The king demands to call Lesledzu and offers the guy to fight him, to which he agrees. A knight enters the hall, and Ryuya begins to look up information about them. It turns out the knight is a woman. Ryuya says that he has no skill, and he is simply increasing his strength. The knight thinks this is nonsense, but still decides that the guy is not so simple. She talks about her skill and says she can easily cut up a guy. Ryuya, however, says that everything is fine and she can use her skill. The king wants to see the boy's strength, so if the girl doesn't hit with all her might, he will be disappointed. The girl starts to think that the boy is insulting her. In the end, she uses the skill and attacks with full force. Ryuya grabs her sword with one hand and the strike seems to evaporate. The knights are in shock, and the girl does not understand how the guy managed to withstand the blow. She says that the guy could have made contact and won, to which he replies that he cannot hit a woman. The girl is surprised. The king stops them and says that the young man has proven his strength. The spirit praises the young man, and in the meantime the king has made a decision. The minister tries to persuade the king, but he has already understood everything. Leonhardt asks the young man to head to the northeast and join the war. Their enemies are demons, and the king asks the guy to save the kingdom, for it is the hero's duty to confront the threat. There are a huge number of types of demons in the world. Humans are not capable of defeating high-ranking demons. Countless demons threaten humanity, and only by uniting can they fight back. Ryuya will challenge the demons. All that is needed for victory is a fist, without skill, but not inferior in strength. A few hours later, the guys arrived at the scene. There were corpses of people everywhere. Ryuya understands that the demons are not coming in a cheerful manner at all. Meanwhile, the knight asks about the potion supply, and the commander and the assistant hesitated. It turns out that all the potions have already been used up. The knight decides to personally cut off the demon's hand, to which the spirit says that it will easily grow back. Noam asks everyone to disperse, and takes out everything necessary for potion making. She also says that he is the master of alchemy. Upon hearing this, everyone begins to thank the girl. As a result, thanks to Noam, the wounded continued to be treated. The spirit says that Noam is brave and reminds him of someone, while Ryuya asks about the spirit's ability. Anibion picks up the guy and flies away with him somewhere. It turns out she is releasing life force to speed up the regeneration of soldiers. An hour later, the guy succeeded, and people thanked them. Lesledza takes off his helmet, revealing his face. The spirit thought that the girl was wearing a helmet because she looked bad, but it turned out she wasn't. The knight, however, says that she should show the guys proper respect. From now on, the girl is the commander-in-chief. She says that all the soldiers will become her strength, and this will be their trump card in the war. The soldiers remind the girl that there may be consequences due to her skill, but she doesn't care. She is a knight and can even give her life for the kingdom. The decision is still up to the girl, and she will not let everyone die. She asks the soldiers to hide in a safe place when the battle begins. Ryuya asks if he can participate in the les exis strategy, to which the girl says that they have already saved many lives. The guy still decides to go with her. The guy decides to help the girl use the skill. The investigator clarifies whether the guy can really handle it, to which he jokes that it wouldn't be bad to give his life to save a beautiful girl. Ryuya reminds that the soldiers have entrusted their lives to the girl's skill, because only the girl's skill will grant them victory. The girl must play the leading role, for the king himself requested it. The demons are coming, and the ground trembles from their stomping. There turn out to be a lot of demons. The main demon says that he has gathered an army while people were dying. Ryuya finds the demon's voice annoying. The demon's name is Benyon, and according to the spirit, he is merely a viscount. The guy changes the target and tells the girl that they are attacking the leader. If you kill the demon, the army will leave. The girl starts to get nervous, and Ryuya says that everything will be fine. In the end, the guys start to attack. The girl strikes with all her might. The demon is shocked by such a blow. The blow is so powerful that it causes an explosion. The soldiers praise Lesledza. The recoil from the attack turns out to be very strong, but fortunately, the girl survives. The guy asks Noam to heal the knight. A couple of seconds later, Leslidzu is already completely healthy, and Ryuya tells her to prepare for the second strike. The girl says that she cannot use the skill so often, to which the guy ignores her. As a result, Leslidzu attacks again. The blows continue, and each time Noam heals the girl, after which she attacks again. The spirit says she could kill all the demons in one fell swoop, but Ryuya says it was a human battle. The army had to unite and repel the demonic threat, and thanks to the girl's skill, they succeeded. The demon does not understand what kind of skill it was, and Ryuya asks if the demon is planning to flee. The demon still decides to have some fun and is about to fight with the guy. The demon thinks the guy is stupid and pathetic. He continues to mumble something, to which Ryuya says that he is very talkative. The demon uses force and attacks the guy. The knights realize that the demon's power is deadly and hurry to leave. The demon boasts of his strength, to which the boy winks at him and a white mist appears. The demon is shocked because his acid mist was simply blocked. The spirit, however, says that the demon is not stronger than her. The demon is in shock, not believing his eyes, while the girl says that she obeys the strong, and the demon himself will soon be convinced of this. The guy nonchalantly emerges from the fog and thanks the girl for her help. The demon cannot believe his eyes, and Ryu says that he just has good defense and high vitality. The demon asks what the guy is, to which he replies, a human. Ryu approaches closer and says that he will have to kill the demon. He hits the demon in the face and smashes its head. The demon remains alive and says that it will kill the guy. Ryuya begins to punch the demon with such speed that it doesn't have time to regenerate. The demon wonders if he will disappear forever like an ordinary person, gradually evaporating. In the end, Ryuya killed the demon and the spirit praises him. The guys return to the soldiers and they notice that the sky has become bright. The guys report that they have won, and the soldiers are rejoicing. Lesledza asks to be released, as she can already stand on her feet. R releases her, asking not to overdo it. The guys return to the kingdom with victory. Ryuya thinks that the parade is too much, to which Lesledza says that it's nonsense. The king happily greets the guys and soldiers. He asks them to tell him, despite the fact that he will already receive the report. In the end, Lesledza tells everything. The girl explains that she wouldn't have managed without Ryu, and asks to reward him. The king decides that they won thanks to everyone, and decides to make everyone aristocrats. The minister is not satisfied with this idea, but the king silences him. In the end, the king gives everyone aristocratic titles. The king asks if Ryuya agrees to become an aristocrat, and the young man ponders. Suddenly, the hero arrives. Lesledza explains to Ryuya in more detail about the hero, and the guy notices that the girl is not thrilled with the hero. The hero ostentatiously says that he has arrived to save the kingdom. The minister pats the guy, and the king is interested in why the kingdom needs to be saved. The hero says he will stop the demons, but first, they need to throw a feast in honor of his arrival. Ryuya remembers that the hero is his childhood friend, while the latter boasts about his strength. Ryuya begins to call the leader, and he asks who Ryuya is. Finally, he recognizes his former friend. Ryuya explains to the king that they used to be friends with the hero, to which the king replies that it wasn't the case. The hero begins to insult the guy and proceeds to urgent business with the king. He explains that he was sent by the church, to which the king replies that he had repeatedly sent requests for help, which were ignored. Lesledza confirms the king's words, and the king calls the church a shop of greedy swindlers. The hero tries to justify himself by saying that he did arrive, to which the king gets angry. The king mentions donations, to which Liber says that the king is not the only one who donates money to the church. The hero proposes to marry Princess Lesledza, which greatly angers the king. The king takes the hero's words as a threat, but he stands his ground, thinking that he is their only hope. The king refuses, saying that he would rather be in the power of demons. The king explains that the demons have already been defeated, and the kingdom is saved. The hero, however, thought that the parade was in honor of his arrival, which causes the soldiers to laugh at him. Leonhardt demands that the hero leave, to which he cannot believe that someone has dealt with the demons. The hero is told that Ryuya has figured everything out, and he doesn't believe it. Unexpectedly, Noem hits the hero in the face, causing him to be thrown back. The girl demands the hero to shut up and says that everyone present personally saw how Ryuya handled everything. Liber begins to insult the girl for hitting him and says he will kill her. The spirit creates a fog, preventing the hero from passing and surprising him even more. Inibion tosses the hero, and he flies away. Meanwhile, the king is angry with the minister. The minister, in a panic, bows and apologizes. The king wants to talk to Ryu alone, but the girls tag along with him. The princess apologizes for insulting the hero. The king confirms the hero's words that Lesledza is the king's daughter and says that his daughter is special. The king says that the girl's mother has a low status, which is why the daughter cannot inherit the throne. The king decided to make the daughter a knight, but unexpectedly, the church intervened. The church somehow found out that Lesledza is a princess and wanted to interfere in politics by marrying the hero to the princess. The king says he will not allow his daughter to be used as a political tool, and wants Ryuya to become his ally. The guys leave the palace and meet the hero. He says he wants to talk to the guy alone, and the girls let Ryu go. Liber says that he acquired a valuable skill, and also says that he and the guys were separated. Liber considers himself cool, because he became a hero. He asks Ryu to talk to the princess, and says he is ready to accept it if she is a little ugly. Ryuya understands the hero's goal and asks why he treats people like objects. The hero, however, says that he is trying to give Ryuya's empty life some kind of meaning. He also says that he will take Noem and the spirit. Ryuya asks what the guy is carrying, and he says that even Ryuya can be useful. He should be happy helping the hero. Ryuya understands that over 5 years his friend has changed a lot and now considers him to be rotten. Ryuya asks how such a person grew from a decent one. Liber understands that Ryuya lacks skill and laughs at him, considering him a stupid idiot. He begins to attack the guy, telling him not to look down on him. Unexpectedly, the hero misses and does not understand what it was. Liber considers the guy bold and thinks he has a powerful skill. Liber says that he has a universal skill and Ryu's skill is just a joke. Ryuya looks at the hero's information and says that he is not particularly interested in the guy's skill. The hero explains that he can steal other people's skills. Liber says that he will always be stronger than the opponent, and says that the guy will be able to use the skill. The guy uses his skill, but nothing happens. The theft is complete and Liber is preparing to attack the guy, but Ryu strikes first, causing the hero to be knocked back. The hero does not understand why the guy is still strong and thinks that his skill did not work. The guy hits the hero again, and Liber doesn't understand where Ryu gets such strength from. Ryu breaks through the wall with one blow, leaving the hero in shock. The hero considers this impossible, and says that some of the best skills have a kind of protection against theft. Liber decides to acquire this skill, and says that he can sacrifice his skill by taking someone else's skill. He decides that he will take the guy's skill forever and become the strongest. He uses his skill, and completely deprives Ryu of the skill. After that, he decides to hit Ryuya, but the guy still turns out to be stronger. Ryuya asks Liber to check his parameters. The hero looks at his parameters and sees that the skill is no longer there. The hero falls into hysteria, pleading for the skill action to be noted. Ryu hits him in the face again, knocking the guy out. The next day, the hero without a skill was expelled from the church, and Ryuya had to pay compensation for the wall, but the king decided to help the fifth. The king believes that the hero is to blame for losing his skill, while the girls consider the hero a criminal. Ryuya says that the girls should have returned home. The girls say that they watched the fight. They also told the king in detail about the boys' brawl. The king says that the testimonies of those close to the boys are unlikely to be avoided, to which the spirit says there is nothing to worry about. Meanwhile, people are repairing the wall. Ryuya says that things are bad, as the church is the only one who can oppose the demon. The king, however, says he will do everything to support the boy. Unfortunately, the king will not be able to defend the guy, and asks if Ryuya wants to become a nobleman. Leonhardt does not want to force the boy, but if everything is left as it is, the church will start to act. The spirit says not to worry, but the king is concerned about his daughter. The spirit suggests the idea of marrying Ryu to the princess. Anibion believes that this is a perfect plan, and the king agrees. Ryuya begins to think it all over and realizes that this is the best option. The spirit says that in this case, the young man will be connected to the king. The king, in turn, catches on to the spirit's idea for Ryuya to become his son-in-law. The king is pleased and says that Ryuya will take the position above any aristocrat. The boy is shocked that the spirit and the king have gotten along so well. Ryuya tells them to stop deciding for him and considers the idea nonsense. The guy reminds that the king wants his daughter to marry someone she likes. Ryuya will not marry the princess if she does not like him. The spirit says that it's not a problem and they will find out everything now. She decides to call the knight's girl. The princess quickly arrives and thinks that Ryu should at least repay with courtesy. The guy looks up information about the girl. He notices that the princess's level has increased, and a degree of affection has also appeared. The spirit explains that this degree shows a person's feelings towards the guy. The spirit says that this is proof of love, while the guy is surprised at when the girl managed to fall in love. The king tells his daughter about the plans, and she mistakenly thinks that she will be given to the church. Leonhardt says he has decided to marry off the girl. The daughter, however, says she wants to dedicate her life to knighthood. The girl refuses to get married, and the father says that the groom will be Ryuya. The princess blushes deeply, not expecting such a turn of events. The king explains Ryuya's position, which confuses Lesledza even more. The king says that since the girl is against it, nothing can be done, when suddenly the princess interrupts him. Meanwhile, the spirit whispers to the boy that the girl has fallen in love with him. The princess says she cannot do that because Ryuya is a hero, and she will be happy with him. The king does not understand what the matter is. The girl says that the guy has Noam, who also loves Ryu. The princess cannot do that to Noam. Noam says that the master's happiness is important to her, because it is only thanks to him that she is here. In the end, the girls argue, and the spirit says that she will take the guy. In the end, the spirit and the king decide that the young man will take both girls. The king says that this is a common matter. He also believes that the young man will not offend the girls. The spirit, however, says that the master should have many wives. The king asks the guy if he will accept this marriage for the sake of the country's future. In the end, Ryuya agrees, as unexpectedly everyone falls silent. After that, Noam and the princess rejoice. The king is pleased and now considers Ryu his son and a member of the family. The spirit considers the king cheerful and sits smoking. She hasn't had this much fun in a long time. News about Ryui quickly spread. 3 kids, while reading the news, decide to get off at the spot. The girl considers Ryu a country bumpkin. It turns out these 3 are the king's children, and they have finally returned. The princess meets Ryu in their new mansion. The young man is embarrassed at the sight of the girl and says that he is just very happy. The princess admits that she has never behaved like a girl and does not know if she can become a good wife. The girl says that the guy is very great and she will do everything he wishes. She is also interested in whether Ryuya wants to take a bath or train. Ryu is interested in what Noam is doing and finds out that she is in the laboratory. The princess says that the king sent a letter asking her to come to the castle. The girl also says that if it is necessary, then it is not without reason. The next day, the boy is greeted at the palace by the first princess and the first prince. The boys are also met by the second prince. The firstborns argue about who will become the next ruler. The father interrupts the children. Lesledza explains that these are the king's children, and in the future, they will lead the kingdom. The first prince insults the princess, but praises her for explaining everything correctly. The girl says she is ready to do anything for the kingdom, and her brother tells her to try harder. Ryuya interrupts the guy. Unexpectedly for everyone, Ryuya punches the guy in the back. Lesliza tries to stop Ryuya, but he is clearly angry. The guy explains that everyone is equal from birth, and with a king like the first prince, the country will quickly fall. The prince, on the other hand, calls the soldiers for help. The father interrupts him and asks Ryu to calm down. The prince, however, demands to punish Ryu. The king quickly silences the prince and explains that Ryuya is a great hero, and if it weren't for him, everyone would have died at the hands of the demons. The prince says that he will forgive the boy, but he should be grateful. The prince also asks his father to teach him wisdom, and in the end, all the children greet the father and introduce themselves. The father is glad that the children have returned and says that he will announce important news. He deprives all three of the right to inherit the throne. Children do not understand why their father deprived them of such a right and consider it unfair. The father decides to listen to the children, and they insist that the kingdom is their homeland, to which the king asks why they all ran away. The king explains that they fled as soon as the kingdom was threatened with danger. Fortunately, Ryuya saved everyone. Lesliza says that the father took command upon himself and they gathered all possible forces for the battle. Ryuya understands that the king is indeed a capable ruler. The children, meanwhile, fled the kingdom, believing that the country would be destroyed by demons. The king is the country, and if the country dies while the king lives, it is a joke. The children are still trying to justify themselves. The first princess says she was ready for the stigma of disgrace and therefore ran away. The king still stands his ground and considers the children cowards. The elders are still trying to justify themselves and persuade the father. They also say that only they can inherit the throne. The king says that besides these three, there is another candidate, Lesliza. Since the king deprived everyone of the right to inheritance, only Lesliza remains. The girl did not expect such a turn of events. She explains that she doesn't know how to rule the country, to which her father says that she can learn it. The girl, in a panic, asks Ryu's opinion. Lesliza says that she must discuss everything with Ryu. After all, he is her husband, and the elders are surprised that the hero became her husband. The first prince is beside himself with rage and considers Lesliza a dog-born commoner. He demands that the father come to his senses, to which the king is opposed. The father explains that the children are half foreigners, but Lesliza is not. The successor will be Lesliza, and this is not up for discussion. The second prince decides to interject and says that the father made the right choice. The young man also says that he will follow him to the end. The elders are in shock, and the youngest admits that he had no chance for the throne anyway. He also asks what Ryuya is like. The prince says that rumors about Ryu spread quickly, but the guildmaster talked about the guy more than anyone else. She also handed out brochures. The prince says that the guy has no skills, and Ryuya confirms this. The prince says that Lesliza's husband must have a skill since he will become king. The girl stands up for her husband, but the brother says that if the rumors spread, it could end badly. The girl assumes that her brother wants her to marry someone else, but the brother just wants to help her. The prince says that rank D is the rank of a newly minted adventurer. The king decides to issue a new decree. Ryu will not be given a higher rank even if the king himself asks. The prince, however, says that a high rank can compensate for the lack of skill, and suggests giving Ryu an A rank. Ryuya says he will do everything to raise his rank. The seniors, however, seem to have something in mind. The king is glad that his youngest son treats him well, to which the son says that he has always thought about this country. The next day at the Adventurers Guild, Ryuya is thinking about everything over lunch. Meanwhile, a dress is being chosen for the princess, and Noam says that they will make it together with the princess. The master says that the guys have reached B rank for saving people. The guy asks if it's normal to jump from one rank to another like that. The master gets angry and starts yelling because the rank was assigned by the council. The spirit believes that the council needs to be destroyed. The master mentions that to obtain an A rank, one must pass a special exam and explains in more detail. The exam will be next month and the guy has to go. Noam also decides to take the exam. The guy notices that the master cares about him, to which she replies that she is waiting for the guys to arrive. Noam asks the master to come to the meeting place on the right day. The master says that the meeting place changes every time, and Ryuya ponders. The girls decide to set out, but Ryuya says that they need to inform the princess. In a few days, the guys reach the kingdom of Rubrum. This kingdom is located in the center of several port cities. The kids are thrilled as they see the sea for the first time. They are rejoicing, and the spirit says that they have become very noisy. Anibian also says that she somehow followed the seabed. Magical spirits live in the sea, and several girls visited on business. Noam is surprised that the spirit has such acquaintances. In the Adventurers Guild, the guys are expelled due to the boys' lack of ability. Noam gives the head a note from the master of their kingdom. Ryuya says that the note was written in simple language on purpose, so that everyone understands how high his level is. The boss does not believe the guys and considers everything a lie. He also thinks that the guy forged an official document. Noam pours a potion on the head, demanding an apology. She also says that she wants to take the exam too. The boss looks at her document and is surprised by her skill. The girl says that if Ryuya doesn't pass the exam, then neither will she. She also says that Ryuya will become a holder of the legendary rank, but the leader could not acknowledge him. The girl asks if the leader will recognize Ryuya if he deals with one of the monsters roaming the surroundings. The boss thinks that the guy is not capable of such a thing. The girl says that the boss should not pretend that he slept through everything, and the guys leave. Ryu apologizes that the girl had to stand up for him, but she is only happy to do so. She also says that she did not pour water on him. It turns out she poured a potion of reverse hair growth on the head. Ryuya is glad that the head's life is not in danger. After some time, the guys arrived in the outskirts of the city. Noam asks the guy not to worry. The spirit sat on Noam's shoulders, and the guy doesn't understand what's happening. Noam prepared a potion for research purposes that attracts monsters. Ryuya is curious about how many monsters it can attract. The girl opens the bottle, and the potion smells very strong. The monsters immediately start coming. The spirit says there are about 200 of them. She also asks the guy not to make a mistake. As soon as the monsters approached, the guy immediately attacked them. He uses a wall of compressed air and quickly defeats the weak monsters. The spirit says that the number of monsters reaches 1,000. Suddenly, all the monsters burst into pieces. The next day, Ryuya destroyed all the monsters with a single blow. People and the leader gathered at the site of the slaughter, shocked by how many monsters had been defeated. Noam says that the boss is to blame for not believing in the boy's strength. But now, no one in the city will be in danger. Noam asks the leader to carefully consider whether other adventurers could defeat so many. In the end, the leader promises to deal with all the formalities. The girls finished collecting materials from the monsters and talked on the way with the head of the craftsman. The exam will take place in a few days, and Ryuya decides that everything needs to be carefully planned. The spirit notes that Noam and Ryuya have become terribly smelly, but the guys don't understand anything. In the end, the guys head to the sea to wash up. Noam washed the clothes with a strong detergent. Ryuya wonders why Noam is late, and finally, the girl arrives in a cute swimsuit. Ryuya slightly blushes and begins to embarrass the girl. He looks around and sees girls in swimsuits. Noam immediately covers his eyes, saying that he is not allowed to look. The spirit says that Noam tried very hard, and she needs to be praised well. The girl says that she wore a swimsuit for the first time. The spirit also dresses in a rather revealing swimsuit. The guy asks Noam to cover Anibian. The spirit notices that the guy panicked and advises the girl to seduce him just as boldly. The girls grab Ryu and drag him into the sea. The guy reminds them that they still have an exam coming up. In the end, the guys have a great time at the sea. On the day of the exam, Ryuya is slightly nervous, but Noam says that he will easily pass everything. The guys arrive at a place that was specifically created for conducting such exams. Ryuya suggests to the girl to show everything they are capable of. Ryu also believes that he has a higher chance of failing this exam. Suddenly, someone calls out to the boy. Some guys think that Ryu doesn't know his place since he came to the exam. They mock and look scary, which frightens Noam. The guy confirms the lack of ability and says that he doesn't care what happens next. The guys, however, think that Ryuya is not ready, as he came here empty-handed. They continue to mock him, believing that the guy can't do anything, since he doesn't even have any potions. Ryu shows the potions, but they still stand their ground. In the end, everyone is asked to gather, and the exam begins. To begin with, a place and all amenities were provided for the exam. The exam is conducted by several curators, and one of them thanks the queen on behalf of the adventurers. Curators welcome the participants and hope that among them there will be equals to them. The exam begins, but before that, they decide to announce the invited guest. The invited guest turns out to be the first prince. The young man, however, says that he is connected with this country. It turns out the prince is the son of the queen of this country. Ryuya thinks that now nothing good awaits him. The curator clarifies that in the case of obtaining a rank, it will be easier for people to carry out their activities in the future. The prince, however, says that he wants everyone associated with his sister to fail. Ryu hears the whispers of the curator and the prince and convinces himself that the exam will not go smoothly. Ryuya listens to the whispers and draws conclusions. In the end, he decides not to give in. They begin to list people, and Ryuya wishes the girl good luck. After several people are listed, the curator asks if the others know why they were not named. The others do not have abilities and are not allowed to participate. Ryuya says that they can take part despite the lack of ability. The curator says that no one without abilities has received an A rank. Ryuya says that he will pass the exam. He is not going to give up, and the others support the guy. In the end, the curator decides to conduct a special exam for the people. Ryuya asks everyone to look down at their feet. Suddenly, a large black hole appears beneath the participants. Participants fall into it. But this is not the only danger that awaits them. At the last moment, Ryuya manages to look at the curator's information. People land and fortunately remain alive. They realize that they have ended up in a dungeon, and Ryuya says that this is a spa de gen. The curator says that he has a special exam for these people and explains that they need to pass this test. Ryuya leads the people and encourages them to move forward. They set off on their journey full of enthusiasm. Suddenly, a crash resounds, and those thugs who were bullying the guy appear. He inquires about their abilities, to which they reply that they have none and that this is already their 7th time taking this exam. The guys decide to join and want to take this exam, but first Ryuya tells them to stop laughing annoyingly. Ryu contacts the spirit and explains the situation. He says he will try to manage and asks to support Noam. The spirit says that the girl is doing well. The curators are amazed by the girl's strength, and she realizes that the essence of the exam is to withstand the onslaught of the examiners. At this rate, they want to leave a minimum number of participants. The female examiner goes against Noam. Shigar says that Noam causes a lot of problems, and demonstrates her ability. She also says that Noam has no chance of a random victory. Noam is ready for the fight and says she will defeat her opponent. The girl says that the curators are the worst, but she will give that lady a good dressing down and show the difference between them. The cat girl starts to get angry and attacks. They shout at her not to come too close, as Noam has alchemy skills. Noam, however, throws potions at the cat. The cat inhales the potion's scent, and it becomes painful for her. Noam notes that in the guise of a cat, the sense of smell is enhanced, and the potion works more strongly. The girl also wants to pour the potion on the cat. The cat in panic begs to stop, but the girl continues to throw potions. The cat tries to escape using reflexes, but it doesn't succeed very well. In the end, Noam still pours the potion on the cat, and it goes crazy from the smell. The girl pulls out a huge bat, but the cat mistakenly thinks this is good. Noam says that thanks to alchemy, the blow will be 10 times stronger. The girl swings, and the cat realizes that it's the end for her. Fortunately for the cat, Noam deliberately misses, striking nearby. The girl says she won't miss next time, and the cat, in a panic, gives up. The girl is told that she has passed the first part of the exam and is sent to rest. Noam asks whether the ability is important, which leaves the examiner dumbfounded. The girl says she hates abilities, and tells how she got hers. She tells how she was kidnapped, and how one day, one person changed her fate. This brought the girl more happiness than any ability. The man does not understand what the girl is talking about. While Noam is ready to destroy him, the spirit tells the guy that he has nothing to worry about, and Ryuya decides to focus on his exam. The companions notice that the guy is daydreaming and ask what's going on. They also say that their goal is for everyone to get out. Ryuya notices that thanks to the strong guys, no one has fallen behind yet. Ryuya is curious why the guys took command upon themselves, and they explain. They say that they cannot abandon their goal and will raise their rank even without abilities. The guy understands that the guys have grown up to be real veterans and is amazed. The guys keep running and notice the enemy ahead. Ryu defeats the enemy with one blow and the guys continue their journey. A black hole appears ahead. Everyone starts to think that this is the exit, but Ryuya asks to wait. One of the people disappears into this hole. In the end, the big guy suggests going through, as they have no choice. One of their comrades has already been engulfed, which means they are obliged to come to his aid, and Ryua agrees with this. The guys rush into the hole as a crowd. The observing examiner considers the kids to be idiots. The kids, however, find themselves in some place. The guys notice that it looks like the original place where they ended up. Ryuya, however, realizes that the examiner does not want them to pass. The examiner, with a smirk, says that he believes in the guys. Ryuya understands that they were given an insurmountable task to eliminate them. People understand that the examiners look down on them. One big guy wants to give up, but Ryuya stops him. Meanwhile, the spirit decides to give the guy a lecture. Ryuya decides to go down, as the core is located there and the guy will simply destroy it. The guy explains that if you destroy the core, then space will change, and its ability will blow it away. The guys understand everything but consider it reckless. They explain that the core is difficult to destroy, but Ryu has an idea. The guy punches the floor, breaking through it. Ryu explains that, at this rate, he will reach the core. He asks the others to wait in place. The guys support Ryu and suggest getting together later. Ryu breaks through the floor and ends up on the very bottom floor. The guy destroys the core and realizes that he needs to get back to the surface quickly. Ryu gets out and asks if everyone managed to get out. In the end, the entire company coped with the challenge. The examiner is shocked, and Ryuya says that they all passed. The examiner, however, says that they destroyed the dungeon, which is the property of the country. It turns out that it was an important dungeon, and due to its destruction, many people will lose their jobs. The guys, however, don't care about that. Ryuya says that he personally destroyed the core. However, it was all started by the examiner. Ryuya recalls the examiner's words, and everyone insists that the examiner should pay for the damage, as it was his idea. Ryuya says that the guy needs to behave according to his rank, and everyone supports Ryuya's opinion. The examiner says he doesn't care, and he didn't want this position at all. He doesn't care if people report this, and it's all the guild's fault anyway. The examiner runs away, and the guys are firmly convinced that they are not to blame. They come to the other examiners and say that they have passed the exam. Ryuya says that they have passed the additional exam and are now requesting the main one. He also conveys a message. The examiners are shocked that the guys destroyed the dungeon and are angry with their colleague. One of them checks the dungeon and confirms that something is destroyed. Ryuya explains everything, and the examiners argue. The examiner starts to pick on Ryu, but the guy claims that they are to blame themselves. Ryuya remembers how the spirit explained the lecture. She also mentioned that she could generate a new core. Ryuya insists that the examiners themselves created conditions in which it is impossible to pass the exam. The examiner is angry, but his colleague tries to calm him down. A colleague decides to deal with the guy himself and uses his ability, turning into Iron Man. He begins to attack, but Ryuya easily deflects the blow. The examiner does not understand why his armor broke, while Ryuya is attacking him in the meantime. The examiner flies off, and his armor completely collapses. Ryuya clarifies the conditions for taking the exam and prepares to attack the second examiner. He does not believe that the boy will defeat him when unexpectedly they are told to stop. A girl appears and asks if the exam is being held here. The examiner bows, and Ryuya wonders who she is. The examiner introduces the girl, and Ryuya also bows. The girl asks about the second examiner. The examiner explains that the destruction of the dungeon was not planned, and regrets that it happened. The girl says that now the responsibility lies with the curator, and now it is personally his mistake. She also asks Ryu if he destroyed the dungeon, and the guy answers. Ryu explains how he destroyed the core. The girl says that she hears for the first time about an additional exam for people without abilities, and says that the curator will be held accountable for their actions. The girl says that she instructed the curator, but he apparently did not hear her. Ryuya did not expect the girl to cling to the curator like that. The girl says she is disappointed in the curator. She also assures that if the curator's statement is true, she will apologize. She addresses the exam participants and apologizes. She also says that everyone will be able to continue taking the exam. The exam is being paused, and people are being sent to rest. The girl also wants to learn all the details from the curator. Noam calls Ryu. She is glad that the guy is safe. Ryu is also happy for the girl. They decide to return to the hotel, but they are interrupted by the big guys. They thank Ryu for his help. Ryuya remembers that he forgot to mention that he can return the dungeon. Suddenly, the examiner glares at the boy maliciously from around the corner, then runs away. Already in the hotel, Noam goes to the shower, leaving the guy in the room. The girl returns, asking if Ryuya would like to take a shower first, to which he sends her first. The spirit explains that Noam secretly hopes that she and Ryu will take a shower together. Ryuya says that they will take showers separately and alone. Then Anibion decides to take a shower with Noam, but Ryuya stops her by asking how things are going. The spirit explains that the examiner got what he deserved. The girl also notes that Ryuya does not want to lose. In any case, the examiner will be punished, and he got off lightly. Ryuya is thinking of asking Anibion to create a new core later. The spirit, however, says there was a reason to destroy the core and does not understand why it cannot be left destroyed. Ryu is grateful to the spirit for always helping him. He is happy to have such a reliable ally. The spirit says that her clone followed that guy and reproduces on the wall everything the clone saw. In the hotel, the prince and the examiner are arguing about what happened. The examiner says that the prince initially started all this. He also says that the prince will also get what he deserves. The examiner will not cover for the prince and will tell everything. The prince immediately panics. He tries to persuade the examiner to take the blame, but the latter says they should die together. Tonight, the examiner plans to attack Ryu. He plans to kill the boy and set fire to the hotel. He also decides to get rid of Noam. The prince asks why not take her with him and make her a slave, to which the examiner says that for safety reasons, she must also be disposed of. Ryuya tells the spirit to act, and it prevents the guys from moving from their spot. They ask if this is the work of a spirit, and she confirms it. Ryuya goes out to the guys, and they have a negative attitude towards him. The prince immediately starts whining that he is the future king, and the examiner breaks free from the spirit's magic. The ghost assesses a man's ability, the more it irritates him. He himself talks about his ability, and the spirit understands that the stronger the attack, the stronger the counterattack will be. The examiner begins to attack, drawing a pentagram. The spirit notices this, but the guy feels that if there is no response, the examiner will no longer be able to jump. The man attacks Ryu. The guy blocks the punch with his hand, and the examiner is shocked. Ryuya is surprised that the man still thinks about abilities, while the man believes that the boy is lying and that he has no ability. The examiner continues to attack the guy because he doesn't want him to take his rank. The man thinks that the guy has an SS rank ability. He wonders if his efforts will be shattered. The man believes that it is too early to give up. Ryuya notes that he cannot even grab the man, to which the man says that he reflects not only attacks but also any external force. Ryu asks what will happen if he tries to knock down the examiner, to which the latter says he will kill the guy. A man is trying to cut open the guy's stomach, but he doesn't succeed. He tries again, but eventually his hand goes numb. Taking advantage of the situation, Ryu squeezes the examiner's shoulders, causing him to scream. The spirit asks if it was worth crushing the man's bones, to which the boy says that he will no longer be able to be an adventurer. The prince is shocked by this scene. Ryu decides to deal with the prince, but he is already afraid. The prince does not want to die and does not want everything to be reported to his father. Unexpectedly, the prince uses the royal skill. He hypnotizes Ryu to make him do what the prince wants. In the end, Ryuya succumbs to the charms, and the prince is pleased. Ryu sharply strikes the prince in the face and says that the boy's voice indeed resonated in his chest, but did not touch him in the slightest. He says that the voice which could touch thousands of people belonged only to Lisledza. The spirit considers the guy strong-willed, as he was not affected by hypnosis. She also says that hitting the prince was the right decision. Once the guys manage to defeat the main instigators, all that remains is to send the spirit to deal with the small fry. Unexpectedly, the examiner mentions Reckless. He starts shouting that if a person becomes stronger than the examiners and becomes their enemy, then this will need to be used. The examiner says that now Ryu will die at the hands of the monster. Suddenly, a little jellyfish emerges from the sludge on the floor. Ryuya doesn't understand anything. The spirit notices the jellyfish and says that the examiner was not deceived, as the jellyfish is a child of Nelius. Nellis, the devilish ghost of the seas and the goddess Oceanus, will come to save her child. The spirit notices that a spell was applied to the jar's glass, which prevented Oceanus from realizing that her child was missing. Oceanus sensed the loss and is now coming here. The sea has receded significantly on the beach, and the spirit says that this is the goddess's anger for the harm caused her child. The spirit also sees this as a plus, as now a new beach will appear. Ryuya is interested in what needs to be done to prevent the goddess from destroying the city. The spirit tells the examiner that he was deceived because he summoned a creature of the strongest class. Ryu suggests taking the jellyfish back to the sea, but it is impossible. Due to the air, the Nalums quickly weaken. Ryuya panics, not knowing what to do. Sleepy Noam appears and brings a mini aquarium for the jellyfish. The jellyfish noticeably feels better. The spirit says that the child is terribly weak. Meanwhile, Noam wakes the examiner by asking about the jellyfish. The girl is very happy and goes to prepare something for the jellyfish. The spirit says that the goddess is swift, and it is not certain that the spirit will defeat her. Therefore, someone else must stop the goddess. Ryuya runs to the beach and asks to look after Noam. People around feel the approach of the goddess and do not understand what is happening. Ryu meets the thugs and asks them to evacuate the city while he heads to the slaughterhouse. The guys believe in Ryu and go to evacuate everyone. The others also decide to help, and Ryuya relies on them. On the beach, Ryuya encounters a massive tsunami resembling a black mountain. The guy had never felt anything similar with other enemies. This time he has no right to make a mistake. There are important people he needs to protect, and Ryuya is preparing for the attack. The guy hits the tsunami. A hole is made in the water, and it starts to rain. Then comes the second wave, and Ryuya prepares to fend it off again. The guy is not going to back down and strikes the water. The tsunami is approaching, and everyone is running to higher ground. Ryuya understands that if even one wave passes, the city is doomed. He continues to fend off the waves. He begins to deliver several blows in succession. The wave begins to approach with new force, and Ryuya realizes that he cannot continue the attacks indefinitely. He asks Noam to try to restore the baby as soon as possible. Otherwise, Ryuya will not hold on. The guy notices that his clothes have become heavier, when suddenly a devilish ghost addresses him. She says she came for her baby and will kill those who took him. Ryuya says that he will not drown due to lack of air. He understands that neither he nor the ghost inflicted damage on each other. Ryuya understands that she will not be able to negotiate, and the ghost demands the return of her child. Noam appears and shows the ghost child. The ghost immediately changes form and runs to its baby. The ghost thanks for saving its child. She also greets the spirit. Meanwhile, it is already dawn, and the guy is surprised that he fought until morning. Everyone tried hard and won. The ghost thanks the kids once again. The spirit notes that everyone got scared when they saw the waves. The ghost promises to kill the person who stole her child and asks if the guys know who it is. Ryuya mentions that it is someone from the adventurers, and the ghost gets angry. The spirit tells her not to rush and scolds her. The spirit promises to conduct an investigation and find the culprit. The ghost gives the kids a vase from which water gushes in unlimited quantities. The water is completely pure without any impurities. Noam thanks for the gift, and the ghost says that if someone else takes the vase, it will stop working. The ghost will never forget the boy's action, after which he thanks the spirit. Anibian, however, says that everything is fine, and she gets everything she needs by being with the guys. The ghost explains to Ryu who the devilish ghosts are. She believes that the guy is amazing, since the spirit decided to accompany him. The spirit says that the master is amazing. In the end, the ghost returns to itself. A little later, the guys came to the king of Rubrum. The king apologizes for his nephew's actions. The king believes that his nephew had every prospect of becoming king, but he got involved with the wrong people. Ryu is surprised that with such relatives, the prince grew up to be an idiot. The king also says that he will leave the choice of punishment to the prince's father, while the prince himself is under house arrest. Ryui asks about the examiner, and the king calls the council member Vista Maria. The girl says that it was decided to fire her because she did not keep track of the ward. However, the king is against this. The guards support the king's opinion, and they ask the girl not to give up. In the end, she decides to work with all her might. The king also mentions saving the kingdom, and Ryuya says that the power is in his levels. The king praises the boy. Vista Maria has a conversation with the boy, so the king allows her to speak. The girl starts a conversation about the exam and decides to analyze the boy. The girl provides more details about her skill. She says that analysis is a special second stage of testing. She also says that there were several different types of adventurers. She also says that there's information recorded that 3 bodybuilders have every chance of passing to the 3rd stage of the exam. The girl says that both Noam and Ryuya have shown that they deserve to move on to the next stage. The girl says that Noam does not necessarily have to complete the exam entirely. and she is awarded the rank ahead of schedule. It turns out Noam is awarded an S rank. The girl herself is shocked and nervous. There is no exam for this rank, and it is awarded only if everyone on the council agrees. Ryuya also receives this rank. The girl says that the guy made the greatest contribution to the rescue, and she is going to put in a good word for Ryu. The king also wants to reward the guys. Ryu has 2 requests. The first is not to hinder the public punishment of Zemnanto, and the second is to assist Lesledze in ascending to the throne. The king agrees to the terms, and Ryua thanks him. The guys receive A-rank cards and are happy. The kids are happy that now their cards are shiny, while the spirit is once again spouting some nonsense. The students from the exam also congratulate the others and rejoice with them. To the surprise of the guys, only unskilled adventurers were allowed in the next stage. Now the guys will not miss their chance and will raise their rank. The time for farewells is coming, and Ryuya is saying goodbye to the guys. The guys return home where they are joyfully greeted by the guild master. Ryu is surprised, thinking that the master and Bistamario are childhood friends. The guy thinks that the master sent a note to her friend, but in the end decides that he is just overthinking it. The master says that each new A-rank adventurer increases the guild's influence. The master also imagines how her salary will be raised when the guys increase their rank, and suggests to Ryu to become lovers. In the end, the boy picks up Noam and runs off to report to the king. The king, meanwhile, learned about the S rank and is happily galloping around the castle. Leonhardt says that he has been waiting for the young man and was shocked by the news that the young man could become S-ranked. This news was happy for everyone. Ryuya is surprised that the news spread widely and asks about the princess. The king thinks that Ryua is bored and says that the princess will arrive soon. Leslidza just arrives. She was waiting for the guys to return. The girl congratulates Noam on the rank promotion. The princess is interested in whether anyone has bothered Ryu, and Noam says that the boy has become close to people with mohawks. The king decides to add a word about the upcoming wedding. Ryuya says that it is not yet certain whether his rank will be raised or not. The king promised that if Ryu's rank is raised, he will increase donations to adventurers. In addition, the guys saved Rubrum, and their king should also help. The king finishes with the report and dismisses the guys. He also mentions that offspring is the most important thing for a king. The king asks the young man to take the initiative and share the love equally among the girls. The first princess appears, who found some pile of papers and demands an explanation. The king explains that he wants to marry off his daughter. The girl starts a tantrum, claiming she is a princess. The king reminds that the heiress is Lesledza, and the first princess has been removed from the list. The girl asks to be married off to at least a duke of this kingdom, but the father cannot marry his daughter to someone of lower status. The father says he has chosen good options for his daughter. The spirit considers the king an unusual person. Leonhardt says he chose the optimal solution. The king remembers that he didn't ask about his son. The first princess asks Ryu if he knows what it's like to date a royal. Lesledza notes that flirting with other people's husbands is bad. As a result, the girls quarrel. Noam, meanwhile, is preparing a potion. The second prince comes to the king. The king hopes that the prince does not want to oppose the order of succession, but the prince's opinion does not change. The young man says that someone urgently wants to meet with the king and Ryui. The king agrees to meet with that person, and the prince calls him. The girls are still arguing. The advisor of the Adventurers Guild enters the hall, and the king asks what business he has come for. The king asks his son why he brought the advisor, to which the son says that the advisor wants to file an appeal. The kids don't like the advisor, and meanwhile the advisor begins to speak quietly. The king asks when the last meeting took place, and the advisor responds. The advisor says that no one has been above rank A yet, and besides, Ryuya does not possess the skill, to which the king says that the boy is a hero. Ryuya understands that if they hadn't intervened, the kingdom would have collapsed. The advisor, however, does not believe that Ryuya could have accomplished something like that. In the advisor's meeting room, 2 girls are confronting the council. The girls give the advisor a nudge on the nose. This is exactly how the decision was made to raise the guy's rank. The advisor asks to stop the process of Ryui's rank promotion. The king pretends not to hear anything. The advisor tries to explain everything, but the king doesn't care. The advisor says that they have been blamed for everything that happened and are being asked to pay compensation. The king decides to listen to Ryu. The guy explains the story from his perspective, and the king understands the situation with the spirit. The king believes that everything is fair, but the advisor disagrees. The advisor suggests that Ryu refuse the reward, but the king only laughs at this. The king thought that the guild consisted of worthy people, while the advisor dared to neglect his duties. The advisor tries to reason with the king. He speaks of the truth of this world, and if Ryuya loves this world, he must refuse the reward. The king says he has listened to the advisor's position. The satisfied advisor asks to speak with the king of Rubrum. The king clarifies what he should convince the king of, and asks a question regarding Ryu's rank. The advisor, pleased, responds, thinking that the king will help him, but the king says that he will have to cancel the guild's donations. The advisor asks to reconsider, saying that the guild will always lack money, to which the king sets the condition of raising Ryu's rank. The advisor says that he will raise Gnome's rank, but the girl refuses if Ryu's rank is not raised as well. The girl explains that only Ryuya deserves a rank promotion, and she does not. In the girl's opinion, all her achievements were only thanks to Ryuya. The advisor begins to insult the girl, and Rui's patience runs out. He throws the advisor face first onto the floor. The king is also angry, and because of his strength, the advisor is thrown back. The king has sat on the throne for several decades, and the advisor is not the first to try to deceive him. The advisor is also trying to deceive King Rubrum. He expels the advisor from the capital, who asks to say just one thing. He talks about relations with the church and offers to help, but the king says it was his initiative. Leonhardt demands to take the advisor away, and the guard follows the order. Ryuya understands that the church subjugates influential people to control the world. He stops the guard and mentions Soades. Ryuya asks if he was behind all this, to which the advisor insults the boy. Ryuya believes he can talk to the advisor however he wants. The advisor immediately refers to important matters and hurries to leave the palace. The spirit traps him in smoke, not allowing him to pass. She suggests that there is someone else behind the advisor, and the advisor is asking the king for salvation. The spirit is ready to protect the advisor as long as he is useful. The guys conduct an interrogation of the advisor, and Noam administers the truth serum. When taking the potion, the brain ages by 10 years, and Ryuya ponders. Suddenly, the king is informed of an invasion. A stranger burst into the castle. The king asks Ryu to protect him and the children. The guards see the enemy as a cat suddenly jumps out. Noam asks everyone to stop. The girl hugs Shigar. The girls are happy about the reunion and are having a nice conversation. Ryuya is curious about when they managed to become friends, and they explain. It turns out Shigar also helped during the tsunami. Noam asks why the girl is here, and she takes on a human form. She says that she has a very important message. The king introduces himself, and the cat immediately starts sniffing him. The girl says that a great misfortune has occurred. The guild was attacked by demons, and they urgently need help. Meanwhile, in the main office of the guild, a demon is sitting, ready to kill everyone. The king wonders why the demons attacked. The cat, in tears, explains how it happened. The cat explains that an unscheduled meeting was arranged, and it was then that the demons attacked. Demons always warn of an attack, thereby weakening vigilance. This time they came without warning, and they turned out to be very strong. The adventurers fought, but were defeated. The cat also says that they were attacked by 3 demons, which surprises the first princess. Ryuya believes that they should go to help. Also, the cat says that Bistamario is determined regarding this meeting. Ryuya does not want to abandon the girl in trouble and decides that they should help. The king understands that if nothing is done, the demons will start killing people out of boredom. The cat says that the demons arrived recently and she was immediately sent for help. The girl used all her strength to get there as quickly as possible. Ryuya decides that she will go there. There is no time, and the guy doesn't want Bestimario to die. The spirit says it will go too. The cat notices the advisor and asks what he is doing here. The cat remembers that before leaving, she heard someone asking to bring Reckless and Soades. Ryuya understands that they need to bring the advisor to the guild. The advisor does not want to go there, but he has no choice. The king orders the advisor to return and help the guild. Ryu thanks the cat for her help and tells her to stay in the castle and rest. The girl apologizes for mocking the guy. She is ready to apologize on behalf of everyone and asks to save the guild, as they are her only friends. The guy calls the princess, who is already ready to leave. He asks her to send reinforcements if help is needed. The advisor is ready to die rather than go to the guild. However, Noem arrives with a super fast glider. The guy is surprised, and the girl says that the machine was created using advanced alchemy techniques. With the help of this machine, they will get there in the blink of an eye. Ryuya wonders if this is too much for alchemy. The guy was going to run, but since the machine will deliver quickly, he agrees. The advisor is tied outside the car while the guys ride inside. The girl says she will drive herself, and the guy should just watch. The girl starts the car, and the spirit finds the spell interesting. Ryuya asks if she will be sitting down. The spirit says it will get there with the help of magic. Finally, Noem starts the car, and they drive off. The advisor starts shouting from such speed. The car is rushing very fast, and the cat realizes that it would have wet its pants. Finally, the guys arrive at the place, and the guy is surprised at how quickly they rush there. Noem warns that the landing will be rough. The guys reach the guild gates, and apparently their transport broke down. Ryuya is carrying Noem and dragging the advisor. The guy notices the smoke and thinks they didn't make it in time. The spirit says they traveled for a long time. While the guys were away, the spirit checked the situation. The demons destroyed the council, but nothing threatens the people. The guys are wondering why the demons spared the people and find it suspicious. The guys are walking down the road to the main building and see devastation everywhere. Residential areas are controlled by monsters, and they don't let people leave. The spirit says that she melted all the monsters. She leads the guys to a building where the leaders are apparently hiding. Noem notices that there are many wounded and decides to help them. Ryuya and the advisor head to the main building. In the main building sits a group of defeated adventurers. They notice Ryu. The demon has already been waiting for the guy and says that he left the adventurers alive because he doesn't want to get his hands dirty. The demon introduces himself, but Ryu doesn't care. Senyatansa considers the guy a fool or a madman, and the guy asks about the other demons. Senyatansa asks another demon if he has found anything, but there are no suitable adventurers, only Ryuya. Debdebrisa suggests killing one of the adventurers, but the leader forbids it. Ryuya gives the demons an advisor, and he considers him a traitor. The demon understands that this is the one they need, and the advisor suggests making a deal. The demon considers Ryu a villain, to which the boy offers them to leave in exchange for advisors. The demons say they need these two, and the rest they will kill without torment. Ryuya clarifies whether hunting is somehow connected with Oceanus. The demons say that the guy doesn't need to know about it. They are going to kill the guy and tell him to get ready. Ryuya thought for a long time about the battle with Benyon and managed to invent a strike technique that would kill demons, ignoring their regeneration. The demon considers the name of the technique stupid, and the adventurers are surprised that the guy killed the demon with one blow. The demon recalls Ryu and asks if he killed Benyon. The guy suggests to the demon to make sure, and this amuses the demon. Ryuya tells him to prepare for others to laugh at him. The demon asks if the guy knows who he has tangled with and says that he will never defeat him. Ryuya assumes that this demon is the strongest. The demon is angry, saying that he is many times stronger than the others. The guy reminds him of his offer. Ryuya says that this is not a bargain but a proposal for a peaceful resolution. The demon, however, says that the fate of humans and demons is to fight to the death. Ryuya understood the opponent and uses the strike again. The demon, in shock, does not understand what happened. He barely avoided the blow, and Ryuya suggests striking again. The demon thinks it's the boy's skill. The demon says that they have surpassed human skills, and Ryuya looks up information about him. The second demon asks the leader what he should do. The demon decides to show how terrifying they can be, and Ryuya in response will show how frightening humans can be. Soades appears, saying that he will defeat the demon. Adventurers say they will finish off the man, because it's all his fault. The man, however, says that it was all planned. It turns out that the man's accomplice healed him and hid him so that he would not end up in prison. Soades is confident that he will save everyone, but the adventurers send him away. The man mocks the demon, considering them weak, and Ryuya thinks that the man is seeing a demon for the first time. The demon considers people fools, but Soades silences him, saying that now he will see the skill of a legendary adventurer. The demon says it will kill the man and begins to attack. The man repels the attack and talks about his skill. He says that not even a demon can harm him. Suddenly, the man starts feeling unwell. He remembers how he proposed to his beloved girlfriend. She remembers how she met him at home with a terribly cooked dinner, and the mother's blood splattered onto the boy. The wife divorced him and went to another man, and the guy wounded the wife with the help of a reflection. The man is overwhelmed with tears from memories, and the demon says that people still consider demons to be powerless minds. He also says that there is another way to make skills useless. The man refuses to lose, while the demon, meanwhile, spreads cold everywhere. The demon explains about the heat and temperature, thanks to which the body moves, and its power works in reverse, freezing. The demon says that the guy won't be able to determine the direction of the attack even with skill. Complete freeze, the power of a higher demon. Sihiz's body is covered with ice, and he wishes to drink the liquid his wife called soup. The man asks his wife not to throw away the food, and says that he will eat everything. Suddenly, he feels warm. The warmth turns out to be the heat of Rui's fists. The demon is shocked by the guy's technique, while Ryu doesn't care at all that it was the demon's strongest technique. The demon does not believe, and calls the guy names, while Ryuya asks the guys to look after the man. Ryuya hurt the demon's pride, and he is ready to erase the disgrace by killing the guy. Ryuya, on the other hand, says he is ready to help if someone needs assistance. The demon says he will put all his strength into killing the guy. Ryuya feels intense cold and realizes that people can die from such cold, and he is, after all, a human. The guy says he will withstand any temperatures with the heat of his feelings. In the end, he succeeded. The demon is in complete shock and cannot believe his eyes. He thinks he should have used more serious things. Noam and the spirit believe that there is no point in this. The girl says that she has finished helping the locals. The demon is surprised to see the spirit and notices that he is afraid of her. The spirit says that she used to be just like the demon. The demon says that there is no one stronger in the world than the demon lord, to which the spirit says that Ryuya is stronger. The demon refuses to believe this. The guy strikes and slashes the demon. The demon does not understand why instant regeneration does not work, and the spirit says that this is the difference between the levels of the guy and the demon. Ryuya says that he can kill the demon once and for all, or throw him in prison. The demon chooses death, and the spirit considers him a fool. The spirit says that she is the master's favorite servant. Ryuya then asks why the demons needed Soedes and Reckless. Ryuya offers the demon mercy if he answers questions. Abinion is surprised by his kindness and says that demons would never do such a thing. Ryuya agrees with her, while the defeated Tsunayatans lies bleeding. However, he notes that the demons have not yet killed a single person and therefore can still let them go. Abinion admires his kindness and says the demons are not worthy of such mercy. She mocks the lying Tsunayatans and tells him to start thanking her master. Ryuya turns to the other demon and says that he knows he hit someone. But he doesn't want to get his hands dirty just like that, and if the demon swears not to touch anyone, he can leave peacefully. The demon thanks Ryu for her generosity. Abinion says she could use her power on 2,000 demons, to which Ryuya replies that 1 Tsunayatans will be enough, and he has an idea for the case if he refuses to talk. The demon smirks, doubting his abilities, to which Ryuya tells Abinion to dig into his head. She penetrates Tsunayatan's head, which is quite painful for him. The demon screams that his head is about to explode. The hero asks if Tsunayatans wanted to talk. Tsunayatan says that by using such interrogation methods, Ryuya becomes more fearsome than any demon. However, even after such an interrogation, he will not tell anything, and the hero and his companion may feel that his freedom of action has been taken away from him. Ryuya does not understand the demon's words, so Abinion explains to him that no matter how strong a person is, a demon cannot ignore his superiority. She laughs when she hears about the demon's free will. Abinion ends his explanation by saying that the demon will obey only one who is higher than him in the hierarchy. She assumes that the demons attacked because of Oceanus, recalling that demons often become mercenaries to carry out revenge. Ryuya remembers that Oceanus forgave them too quickly, and assumes that she is to blame for everything. But Abinion says that this is not the case. She noticed that Oceanus was too kind, and if it were her order, she would have ordered not to kill anyone, but the demons wanted to kill everyone after finishing the work. Ryuya comes to the conclusion that the demons wanted to make sure that Sodes and Ricolas were dead. Abinion reflects that whoever gave them such an order is above demons, but also above vengeful spirits. She realizes that their clients are demonic gods. Demonic gods are one of the 3 types of people above them. Demonic gods are one of the 3 higher categories of beings above people. Demons consider themselves the greatest creatures, they rule the whole world, but they tremble if they meet spirits. Demonic gods treat common demons like errand animals. Abinion asks Sanayathans if she is right, he is silent, but it becomes clear that everything is so. Ryoya concludes that the demons carried out the will of others, following the orders of the gods. A pile of seaweed takes advantage of the moment and tries to strike with squelching sounds, but hits the ground with a fist-like sound. She laughs, saying that it was she who killed the targets and completed the task set by the demonic gods. Ryuya finished off the demon with one blow. He blames himself for relaxing, and not realizing that the pile of seaweed only pretended to run away, but in fact wanted to kill Rikolis from the very beginning. He calls out to Noam. She tells him that he is dead, and her potions are powerless. Seinins laughs at the hero, saying that this is the price for his mistake. He says that Ryuyu was right, they were hired by the demon gods to kill Rikolis at all costs. Sanayathans praises the seaweed pile for its work, and says that the demon gods are superior beings to them. He says that they must obey orders even at the cost of their lives, and these are the rules of this world. The demon continues to laugh and asks to be killed so that he can ascend to the demon gods and become a stronger demon. Abinion turns to Ryu and says that he knows how he feels. She says that she will not tell the demon that reincarnation does not exist and cannot believe that he believes in it. But Ryuya feels completely different. He feels deceived. Abinion says that he has no reason to be so sad, but Ryuya did not have time to find out anything from him. She says that Rikolis was killed because he knew too much. Rui agrees with her because he really did know too much. After his death, the opportunity to find out why the demonic gods wanted him dead was lost. Abinion assures that she will solve everything. Rui doesn't understand what she's talking about. Noam starts praising the spirit. Abinion says that there would be no point if she could not help her master, and that Rikolis' death was only a small oversight on her part. She says that she has a special technique that can help. Rui and Noam don't understand her. The hero is already furious that Abinion is dragging it out. The spirit finally says that he can get information from the head of the dead Rikolis. Rikolis' soul appears before them. Noam and Rui are surprised. Abinion talks about her technique, that she can create spirits from dead bodies to learn everything she needs. Abinion addresses the soul and says that he will be able to rest in peace after he tells everything he knows. She asks where he got Oceanus' child from. Everyone stands waiting. The spirit slowly says who gave him the child. He finally answers that the child was given to him by Cardinal Agamandes from the church. Everyone is shocked by what the spirit said. Rugaizan, chief advisor of the Adventurers Guild, says that although it is hard to believe, the dead do not lie. The cardinal is one of the most important in the church. In importance, he is second only to the Pope. No one wants to believe that such an influential person could be involved in this matter. It was Agamandes who did not want to recognize people without skills, and spread this idea among all adventurers. People speculate as to who was the instigator of all the troubles. They concluded that it was the church that pretended to protect the kingdom, but in fact secretly ruled the world. Abinion suggests thinking about why the demon gods wanted to hide this information. Rui guesses that it means only one thing. The church and the demonic gods work together. Most people still don't want to believe it. Abinion mocks the demonic gods, saying that they do not change themselves, still trying to get more than they can. She tells Ryu that they are planning something big. The spirit remembers the dragon who recognized the hero. He is called the entity that rose above the heavens, since his power cannot be reached. Abinion suggests that the demonic gods want to do something that will allow them to become stronger than the vengeful spirits and reach the level of dragons. Rui wonders if it is possible to reach such a level, but his spirit replies that it is impossible. The hero understands that she is not lying. Meanwhile, the spirit of Rikolis has already disappeared. Rui doesn't understand why the demon gods have allied themselves with the church. According to Abinion, it doesn't mean anything good anyway. Be that as it may, the problem was solved. The guild was saved. Sanayathans reminded of himself and asked to finally kill him. He insists that he will die anyway and asks to do it as soon as possible. Ryuya reflects on the mutual cruelty of the races. He understands that a long-standing feud can only end with the destruction of one of the parties. Rui asks to cancel her skill from the demon. Sanayathans doesn't understand what the hero is planning, and Rui just doesn't want to kill him since the battle is already over. Although the demons killed the guild advisor, no one else was hurt, so Ryui sees no point in killing. He offers the demon freedom in exchange for an oath that he will never harm a human again. Sanyatan smirks and says that a demon of his rank would never agree to such a thing. He says that if Ryu lets him go, he will still continue to kill, following the orders of the demon gods. The hero is amazed at the demon's honesty. Sanyatan says that he wishes to die in the heat of battle, defending his honor. Rui asks to convey to the gods that he will not allow anyone to kill demons for such a reason. The hero says that if the attacks continue, the gods will be in trouble. The demon asks Ryu if he wants to protect demons from their gods. The hero replies that he does. He says that if the demon gods come again with a new task, he is able to solve the problem with brute force alone. Abinion adds that her master's enemy is her enemy. The demons will know her wrath if they fight Ryui. Saying this, she shows her power by lifting the building debris into the air. Rui asks her to stop. Abinion doesn't understand why he's looking at her like that. Rui remembers that Abinion never took sides before. He knew she did it for fun. The hero approaches the demon. He returns Senyatansu's regeneration. The demon does not understand how this is possible, since it did not work on a molecular level, and wonders if Ryu has the skill. He replies that he learned this technique from a magazine in the hotel lobby. The adventurers don't understand what kind of magazine this is. The black-haired girl asks not to say anything unnecessary, but Moital interrupts her, saying that this is an obscene magazine. Ryuya is surprised at how quickly the demon healed his wounds and regained his strength. Sanyatens asks if Ryuya still trusts him. He says that the enmity between demons and people has lasted for more than 2,000 years, and bringing them to reconciliation will not be so easy. Sanyatens says that he will fulfill the hero's request and hand everything over to the demon lord. But he clarifies that he does this not for the sake of people, but in order to rule over demons. He doesn't know what the future holds, but he hopes for Rui's promise. The demon flies away, but the adventurers are not sure that they can let him go, although they themselves cannot do anything. Only Ryuya and his spirit can do this. Abinion flies next to the demon and says that he should say something last and grateful. Sanyatans turns around and shouts that he is grateful to Ryu for saving him. The attack on the guild ended successfully. Only one person died. Lisledza brought reinforcements, which means the recovery will be faster than expected. The action moves to the main office of the Adventurers Guild. They are amazed at the size of the hall, which can accommodate all the inhabitants of the town. This number of people will help avoid biased decisions. The Kingdom of Centakillion agreed to help with everything regarding the attack on the guild. It was decided to continue the interrupted discussion. The man thanks Ryu and Noem for the work they have done. Bistamario is ashamed that they decided to surrender as soon as they found out that they only wanted to kill one person. Ryuya says that it was the right decision, but unfortunately casualties could not be avoided. The hero is reassured that it is not his fault. Racoles brought this fate upon himself and endangered not only the guild, but also the country. The people at the table are discussing Racoles. From these conversations, Rui understands that they don't care about the deceased. But he also understands that they say this not because of personal offense, but because of an irresponsible attitude towards their actions. The church values people with incredible skills and sends the second-rate ones to the Adventurers Guild. Despite this, the guild avoided the influence of the church. They were also against the idea that only people with skills were important. They decided so because people without skills made a huge contribution to this world. Bistamario thanks Rui for his work and suggests that he consider what the church thinks about the incident. She roleplays the church ministers, assuming that they will discuss Racoles' death and the fact that he might have spilled the beans. The girl suggests that they will turn to the help of demonic gods. She also suggests that they could simply destroy the guild and then rebuild a new one, so that this new organization would be loyal to the church. Bistamario continues to mock Racoles' death and finally completes his assumptions. All the adventurers jumped up from their seats, knocking down Ryu, who was standing next to them. They support the girl, confirming that this is how it will be. They continue to be indignant about the actions of the church. Noam approaches the fallen Rui. The adventurers speculate what might happen if the church loses its influence over the guild. Rui suggests that something should finally change. Finally, it is decided to unite the guilds under one banner and show the church what they are worth. The entire hall agrees with this decision. Rui is surprised by the unanimous decision. He guesses that it happened because of Ricolus's death. Bistamario says that he understands the crowd's feelings, but an important decision needs to be made about whether or not to give a person without a skill an S class. She says that Ryu, who protected everyone from demons, is worthy of S rank. The girl calls on the crowd to support the hero. The whole crowd chants his name. Bistamario was tired while performing. Rui is worried about her condition. Exhaling, she congratulated the hero on his promotion and apologized for not being able to thank him even more. Rui and Noam object and say that this concert is enough. Abinion asks for praise for her production as well. Bistamario praises the hero for his deal with the demon and says that this could be a turning point in history. She calls Rui the hope of this world and asks him to remain the same. The king reasons that if the threat of demonic attack disappears, then the need for the church and its heroes will also disappear. Despite the damage from demonic attacks, the church is the more significant threat. He concludes that the existence of Ryu and his power will be a ray of light for the entire world. Ryu says that he didn't do anything special. Without skill, he can just wave his arms. Anyone can do that. He says that he can help people in trouble. He is praised for such an answer. A person alone is weak, so people tend to unite and achieve common goals together. Noam and Abinion constantly rescued him. Rui concludes that uniting in the face of danger is the greatest skill of people. Bistamario says there's something else they need to discuss. The dog attacks Noam and thanks her for saving everyone. Noam denies it and says that she is not the hero, but Ryuya. At this time, Ryuya asks Bistamario about the squad of healers. She replies that it has arrived, and they need to talk about Noam. Bistamario praises Noam and says that she also deserves an S rank. Everyone agreed with the counselor's decision and approved it without further ado. Ryu and Noam were also thanked for getting rid of the monster that had been terrorizing the area for a long time. They met Lesledza and asked her about the restoration. She replied that they had finished dismantling the roofs. However, her father asked her and Noam to return as soon as possible. Noam is already eager to get to the kingdom of Centakelion. Lesledza delivers her father's letter. He was very happy and wrote the answer in a hurry. Rui imagined the king's joy in his mind. They look at the letter and can't make out anything because of the terrible handwriting. Noam asks what the rush is for. Lesledza hesitates with her answer. The king wants to announce the wedding of the three of them. Ryuya and Noam are shocked. The action takes place in the kingdom of Centakelion. A servant approaches the king and says that Lesledza's squad has returned. The king says that history will remember this day. Ryuya asks what this light is. Noam replies that it is the king's decree. Noam continues his explanation, saying that this is royal magic, which allows any message to be conveyed to all the inhabitants of the kingdom. Lesledza says she is amazed by Noam's knowledge. Ryuya is shocked that she guessed correctly. Ryuya says that he was just a vagabond, so he doesn't know what it is, but he has a feeling that he's seen it before. A king appeared in the sky before his decree. He checks the quality of the connection. He introduces himself and asks to meet a detachment of knights at the main gates of the capital. Say that among them there are 2 adventurers who are natives of this kingdom. The king continues speaking, calling them the heroes of Centakelion because they responded to the guild's plea for help and defeated all the attacking demons. Also expresses gratitude to Lesledza's squad, who provided considerable support to the guild. Ryuya is shocked by the crowd that greets them. Leonhardt says that Ryuya and Noam have been promoted to S rank. He calls it the greatest event in the last 200 years. Ryuya is unhappy that the king has made a mountain out of a molehill. People in the crowd discuss the king's words regarding the demon attack and S rank. The king turns to his subjects again and says that this is not all the news. He says that the adventurers have accomplished an incredible feat, and he wants everyone to know about their existence. People in the crowd admire the adventurers who have arrived. People discuss Rui's exploits, but many do not believe that he could have accomplished them. A voice came from the side confirming these exploits, and people noticed General Fudomaya in front of them. He confirms Ryu's extraordinary strength, asks for confirmation from his soldiers. They also agree with it. Because of the trust in the general, the people admired him even more in Ryu. The king continues to talk about how he wants to reward Ryu and says that the hero deserves a proper reward. The crowd agrees with the king's statement and wants to give Ryu a reward. Ryuya is amazed by the king and Bistamario's ability to inspire people. The king announces that he has 2 announcements. He says that in order to reward the honored hero and strengthen their bond, he decided to give him his daughter Lesledza as a wife. The girl is embarrassed. The king continues to praise her as his greatest pride. The king again decided to stir up the crowd's interest by saying that Lesledza was worthy of this position. People do not understand what exactly the king says she deserves. Finally, the king announced that he had decided to marry his daughter to an S-rank adventurer and make him the next king of Centakilian. The crowd admires the king's decision. Ryuya covered his ears to the crowd's shouts and was surprised by the crowd's reaction because he didn't think they would agree that Lesledza was worthy of the throne. However, people continue to rejoice for the king's daughter, and many already consider her their queen. People are happy that she will be the queen because the prince and the second princess will lead the country into chaos. The man recalls that Lesledza's mother was also a knight, and she raised her daughter well. The travelers say that the lady is better than any princess from their countries. The girl says that they are on a diet. Ryuya does not understand who was bothering her before. The old man says that this world is not rotten yet, and he can be calm. Ryuya does not want to comment on this. One guy plans to find a job. Ryuya agrees. The crowd continues to cheer for the future queen. Ryuya understands that everyone agrees with the decision. He doesn't understand whether Lesledza was popular or whether the prince and princess were so boring to people. The king also says that he wants to marry off another S-rank adventurer, Noem, to Ryu. Leonhardt says that after the wedding, the girls will become sisters to each other, so Ryuya and Noem will be able to help Lesledza govern the country. People don't believe what's happening and say that this has never happened before. The king wants to declare that he had only one duty as a ruler, namely to ensure the security and prosperity of Centakilian. The servant informs the king that silver fireworks are being launched all over the city, which means that the people are happy with the decision. The king notices that the people have been rejoicing lately, but are interested in the minister's opinion. He assures that the king's decision is correct. Nikuro says he understands the reason why he was appointed minister. He remembers the previous king and notices that although he was merciful, people without skills could not rise. The king decides to rest a little before the banquet, and the new minister praises his actions. The king asks to look after his daughter in the future. During the banquet, Ryuya is very tired. He wonders if he will be able to not lose face at events in the future. A girl from the side says that Ryuya looks too sad for a man who just got married. She says that Ryuya may not be suitable as a suitor for Lesledza. Ryuya recognizes this girl. The princess forestalls the hero's words, calling herself the one he was thinking of, and declares that her duel with Lesledza is not yet over. Ryuya doesn't understand what she means, because the king has already made his decision. The princess asks the hero if he wants to know what happened to her little brother. She reports that he was sent there as a criminal, and the offense was very serious. Crime against the homeland should be punished by death, but his father was merciful and reduced him to a commoner, imprisoning him in a castle on the outskirts of the kingdom. The princess sadly says that her brother was stupid. She is sad that he could not curb his ambitions. The princess switched to Rui. She is unhappy that he is simply silent. She says that everything is written on his face. Even though she is a beautiful princess who dresses in the finest clothes, uses the finest perfume, but she shows absolutely no sympathy to anyone. Honest guys should mess with her. The princess says that Lesledza, like his brother, was not trained to be kings, and says that if he became king, he would run away, unable to withstand the pressure. Rui begins to doubt Lesledza. Suddenly, if she becomes queen, the country will fall into decline. He quickly moves away from these thoughts and concludes that Lesledza is better than this princess. Ryuya suggests that she give up the throne in a good way. She refuses this and says that she was born to be a queen. But despite the princess's words, he is confident in Lesledza. The girl decided to put pressure on the hero and said that she could make anyone quarrel. Ryuya doesn't understand what kind of soft feeling he's experiencing. The princess offers to marry Ryu to fall in love with her with both soul and body. Ryuya refuses her offer. She continues to seek his consent, saying that he will be able to touch her soft skin every day. The princess promises him incredible nights together, but Ryuya refuses. He refuses all her proposals and says that he is faithful to Lesledza with both soul and body. The princess is very upset by his refusal. Ryuya says goodbye to her and leaves. The princess calls Ryuya stubborn and threatens him. Despite the refusal, she likes men like Ryuya, but he does not want to be her lover. She tells him that his opinion doesn't matter, calls him a commoner, and says that by his status he should obey her. The princess uses her royal skill. She talks about the skill, says that no man can resist her charm. Ryuya hears the princess's voice inside his head. Her wishes are transmitted to him. Now Ryuya unquestioningly obeys her orders, the first of which is to reject Lesledza. Lesledza shows Noam his invention that can collect trash from all over the country. Ryuya passes by and slaps the princess. She cries. Not understanding why Ryuya did not fall in love with her, Lesledza and Noam decided to ignore it. Ryuya tells the princess that she is too poorly brought up for her status and needs to be punished. He asks her to think about the consequences of her actions. She asks him to be more gentle, to which Ryuya replies that he is already gentle. He says she has 10 more spanks left. Lesledza decided to intervene and ask what was going on. Ryuya replies that she wanted to seduce him. Lesledza understands that her sister cannot renounce the throne and she may end up like her brother. In response, the elder sister asks to stop lecturing her and says that she is the only one who is worthy of the throne. To this, Lesledza replies that being a king is not a right, but a duty. The king's job is to protect the country and lead it into a bright future. The eldest princess was deprived of her right to the throne because she did not understand her duties. To which Lesledza's sister replies that her skill cannot be royal, because it can only be used in battle. The eldest princess says that her skill is more suitable for the role of a king. Rui disagrees with her and does not understand how seducing men can help create a better nation. But Lesledza agrees with her. But despite this, it was she who was chosen as queen. Ryuya showed Lesledza what a king should be like. Lesledza is ready to cut any enemy. Those around her do not understand where she got the sword from. Here is her blow. A big explosion occurred. This explosion thundered over the entire kingdom. The minister is worried about the king, but Leonhardt just praises the fireworks. Rui uses a binion to look at Lesledza's stats. Her skill has improved. Now it depends not on the number of subordinates, but on the number of subjects. The larger the country, the stronger her skill. Light from the explosion is visible in Rubrum. People are worried about this light, but they got a message saying it's just fireworks. The man is considered to have been too hasty in exiling his son, although it was still a reasonable decision. The eldest princess realizes that she has lost. She realized that she could never compare to Lesledza. She understands that her little sister's path is to bring peace to the kingdom. Noam reports that Lesledza has minor wounds. The fact that she didn't die means that her skills have evolved. Noam says that I am much better now. Ryuya just needs to give her a potion sooner. The king confirms Noam's words and says that her skills have evolved, which proves that she is worthy of being a queen. However, despite her evolution, she still needs help, since after her skill, she needs to be given potions to recover. That's why the king wants them to be together. Noam gives Lesledza the medicine. The king scolds Isabella for standing still, unlike Lesledza. He heard their conversation with Ryuya, how she wanted to seduce him, and this proves that she is not worthy of being a queen. The princess agrees with her father. Lesledza is capable of protecting the country, but she and her brother would be of no use. She repents and says that she could have become a cruel ruler. Ru feels like she has realized all her mistakes. Noam continues to pour potions into Lesledza. Isabella admits her mistake and promises to help Lesledza in any way she can. Ryuya and Leonhardt are shocked by her statements. Her father says that she should get married. She replies that she has already found a husband. She decided to marry Ryu and will help him as a third wife. She says that he is the first one who scolded her like that, and because of him she was able to feel like a real person. Ryuya is shocked that these spanks changed her so much. The princess continues to pressure Ryu, saying that he has dishonored her and that she will never be able to marry again. Ryuya tries to object to her, but the king is already furious at Isabella's words. He says that even though she is spoiled, she is still his daughter. Leonhardt latched onto Ryuya and waited for an explanation while he tried unsuccessfully to escape. Lesledza, meanwhile, came to her senses. The next day, Ryuya came to the Adventurers Guild, where Londite immediately began to congratulate him. She asks why the hero came to him, to which he replies that he needs a task to collect herbs or something like that. Londite was about to give him a task, but then she yelled at him that an S rank shouldn't do that. She's afraid that if she gives him a task, she'll get checked, so she asks him to sit down. Ryuya opposes this proposal and says that he wants to collect herbs, because no matter what rank an adventurer has, he must serve for the good of society. Londite says he needs to emphasize his uniqueness, but but Ryuya doesn't want to change anything about himself. She asked him to marry her. She says that if Ryuya takes her as his wife, people will start talking about him differently, because she is the best of the best. The hero disagrees, believing that people will hate him. Ryuya doesn't understand why Londite and Isabella want to become his wives. He is afraid that people will start to consider him a pervert. Having become an S rank, absolutely different people, from aristocrats to adventurers, began to reach out to him. People came to him for battles. One day, a man came who introduced himself as an ambassador. It was the ambassador of the Duchy of Alexandria. Ryuya does not believe it, but the man claims that it is so. In fact, he is a church minister, and they chose Ryu as the church hero. The man is sure that Ryuya has lost the power of speech. Ryuya says that it's not like that. He's just not going to trust a man who's already tried to deceive him. The church minister says that it was a lie for the good, because the kingdom and the church worsened relations. Ryuya asks what this noble goal is. The man replies that he wants to inform about the intentions of the head of the church. The hero does not want to deal with the church, which is involved in the incidents in Rubrum and the guild headquarters. He sends the minister away and says that he should have introduced himself on behalf of the church from the very beginning. The cleric thought that rank had turned Ryu's head. The servant begins to scold the hero for his pride. He asks if Ryuya wants to gain even more power by becoming the hero of the church, but Ryuya still sends him away. Ryuya doesn't understand why the church suddenly became interested in him, since he is useless to them. But the minister says that the church highly values him and his skill. Ryuya says that he has no skills because one of the church ministers said so. The cleric says that this can't be, and Ryuya must have a wonderful skill. The servants investigated and realized that Ryuya had reached a level beyond the human limit. The servant assumes that his skill is unlimited. Ryuya is confident that his level is high not because of skill, but because of the Blue Dragon's recognition. His level is the result of training together. The minister says the church is already working on registering his skill. Ryu's new ID card, which is a magical artifact, does not have any skill written on it, and the artifact cannot lie. The servant stands his ground. Rui definitely has a hidden skill. He says that a person who has climbed to the top of the guild, who has subjugated demons, cannot be without skill, and the king has also recognized him. But Rui, despite everything, refuses the offer to cooperate with the church. Abinion says there is no need to worry about her because she has become much stronger since their first meeting. The churchman says that Ryuya must become a hero of the church. That is his path. The hero says that he has helped people before. In response, the priest offers to join the church, promising to fulfill all his wishes. Rui coldly replies that he doubts what was said. The churchman is confused. Rui accuses the church of not serving humanity. He says that it is only useful to those who have the skill. The churchwoman is shocked and screams indignantly, how dare he say such a thing. Rui reproaches the priest for seeing his role only as a way to make money. Rui repeats that he is disgusted by the church, which uses people for profit. He continues to press the priest, saying that they are not going to make the world a better place, so they can only become enemies. The priest says that he understands Ryu, that he is very angry because the church has decided to reject him. He realizes that he can't gain Ryu's trust, so he decides to give him gifts. Riichi doesn't understand what it is, but for some reason it stinks. The priest says that if these gifts are liked, Ryuya may change his mind about the church. Ryuya opens one box and sees a powder there that should slow down decomposition. Ryuya notices a human head in the box. They look at the contents with horror. The priest tells them to take a closer look. Ryuya recognizes his friend Lieber in his head. The priest had no doubt that he would recognize him. He tells why they decided to kill him. He does not understand what crimes the priest is telling him. Why is only his head here? The priest believes that Ryuya was angry with Lieber. The church decided to kill him in order to show good intentions. They stripped Lieber of his hero status and executed him. And so that I might be convinced of this, the priest brought him the head as a gift. The priest says that Ryuya can do whatever he wants. He suggests stepping on his head. The priest remembers that there is also a second box, which also contains a head. At first, Ryuya does not recognize this man. The priest explains to him that this is the man who performed the ritual of happiness. It turns out that this man was the one responsible for determining Ryu's skill. Rui doesn't understand why he was killed just because he misidentified a skill. The priest cheerfully says that he has shown his good intentions and hopes that Rui will now join the church. Lieber lost his skill, but he did not give up the title of hero, so the church decided to eliminate him. The priest offers the hero to conduct a ceremony in which he will swear allegiance to the church. The priest says he is willing to forgive Rui for inciting hostility against the church. Ryu asks if they will do this if he joins the church. The priest starts to answer, but before he can finish, Ryuya stabs him. From such a blow, he flies far away. Rui is angry and tells the priest to leave before he is killed. Rui remembers Lieber how during the 5 years of separation the skill went to his head, and he stopped considering Rui as his equal. He doesn't believe that the church decided to kill him because he was unbearable. Even so, Lieber was his dear friend. Rui tells the priest that the church has entered into a hostile relationship with him. He will not be able to forgive the very fact of the existence of the church. Rui is going to interfere with all the plans of the church. If possible, he is ready to wipe them off the face of the earth. The next day, the priest was captured, and the heads of the dead were identified and returned to their families. Rui went for a walk. No one wants to go with him, but he didn't take her with him. He gave her instructions on how to behave in an emergency and left. Rui hasn't walked alone for a long time. Just when he thought so, a Binyan appeared. Rui wanted her to stay with Noam, but she said that she left her mini-clones with her. A Binyan says not to worry about her, as she has become much stronger since their first meeting. Rui continues to panic, but a Binyan calms him down. Rui discusses the skills of himself and his companions. He is physically all-powerful, a Binyan is close to a super being, and Noam is truly very talented. He wonders why a Binyan didn't use his power on his friend's head. A Binyan asks if he wants her to summon his ghost, but Rui quickly stops her. The hero has an idea of where his friend would like to stay, although Lieber would hardly like it. A Binyan says that he shouldn't worry about his feelings because the dead simply don't have them. And finally they come to the orphanage. Rui says that it was here that he met Lieber. While a Binyan and Rui are talking, a little guy calls out to them. Rui is frightened by him, a Binyan tries to calm him down. The boy's joy is stopped by his sister. Ryuya starts to get to know her, but she recognizes him. Looking at her, she seems familiar to him. Finally, he remembered her name. Ryuya remembers how he and Lieber were orphans. They didn't want to live in the shelter any longer, so they took some supplies and left. The boys went their separate ways 5 years ago, but now Rui is going to bury Lieber's head. Zeta was a friend from the shelter. They didn't fight for a better life with her, and now she has become a beauty. Rui began to interrogate Zeta about what she was doing in the shelter. A little boy attacks Rui for pestering Zeta. A Binyan shouts at the children for harming her master. The children run away in fear. Zeta asks for forgiveness for the children. Rui remembers that they were the same. The hero didn't think he would meet Zeta here. He concludes that she joined the church. Zeta suggests to Rui to finish what they started before the conversation. She says that judging by Rui's reaction, he didn't expect to see her here. She is sure that the heroes will not want to listen to her. He says he has nothing against her. He is interested in what she is doing in the shelter. The little boy thinks that Rui is hitting on Zeta. A Binyan calls his master an S-rank Don Juan and tells the kid not to become one. Rui asks what he said about Lieber. Mr. Yavdivich realizes with horror that the box contains Lieber's head. People ask if he has seen Lieber. He replies that he has no connection with him. Rui asks who this uncle is, and they tell him that he is a doctor. Rui and Zeta bury their friend. They discuss how handsome he was. Zeta says he knew what could be waiting for him at church. However, he could not resist the greatness that the church gave him. This says that she was deceived when she became part of the church. They said that I definitely need to learn how to use my skill. Skills become useless if you don't know how to use them, but Zeta is different from others. Zeta has dual skills that are ranked B, but even with 2 skills, she can't defeat A rank. As soon as the church realized this, she was immediately demoted to a lower rank. For this, she faced the choice of staying in the church or leaving it. From time to time, she worked in the church while doing other work. Of course, this work involved hard work, but sometimes it was necessary to provide special service to guests. Zeta was simply given no other choice. Unworthy people become slaves in the hands of the church. That's why Zeta chose to escape. But even so, the church did not want to let her go. She had to resort to every possible ingenuity to finally escape. She escaped, wading through dirt and shit, and she feels like the smell is still haunting her. She tried many things, but nothing stayed with her for long. In the end, Zeta never found out what the world outside the church walls looked like. When she had no choice, she returned to the shelter The abbess of the orphanage accepted her without question and made Zeta a teacher. Zeta thinks that Rui is very happy because he ended up in Zeta's place. Rui says he hates to hear that. Zeta knew that Rui would return here. She says that the whole world knows about his exploits. She admires the story of a hero who protected the country from demons and achieved S rank in the shortest time. Zeta is glad that Rui got what they dreamed of as children. She says that after receiving the skill, she and the boys began to consider themselves the chosen ones. Norius continued to try his best and became a hero, unlike them. Nothing is known about their third friend. Most likely because of his skill, he was sent to a special academy. Since the church and the academy are connected, life there is probably not any sweeter. Zeta congratulates Rui. Congratulates him on his marriage. She praises Rui for his incredibleness, and therefore asks him not to come to the shelter anymore. There is no place for Zeta in Rui's life, so her fate is to tell legends about him. Rui doesn't understand if she really finds him that disgusting. He asks her about her fears. She is afraid that the hero is still angry with her. Rui says he will never turn his back on her. He knows better than anyone that there is nothing special about him, and tells Zeta that a person who considers himself better than others will never be able to help his neighbor. Besides, he thinks that she has changed. For this I became very beautiful, not only in soul, but also in appearance. He tells her not to think that he used to think she was bad. Zeta was touched by Rui's words. Rui thinks that fate is cruel, because all 4 children from this orphanage could have been taken. Rui remembers how Liber was beaten, and they came to the doctor. The doctor didn't want to let them in at first, but then changed his mind. Liber enters the doctor's room and claims that he has deceived them. The king used his skill to heal all the inhabitants of the kingdom. Liber says that petty doctors have no skills. The doctor asks why he came. Liber throws money on the table. The doctor refuses to take the money, saying it is too much. Liber replies that it is payment for silence. The doctor does not understand what silence is meant, and Liber explains that he does not want rumors to circulate that he was cured by a simple doctor without skill. The doctor says that in case of wounds, Liber should come to him. Before Liber left, the doctor asked who he could help if the king saved him. Liber justifies himself by saying that he will learn this in church. The doctor tells Liber to come again. Now the doctor regrets Liber's death, looking at his grave. A few days later, Noem joined Ryu. Zeta scolds because she said not to come, although she admits that she could use some help. Rui learns that Zeta will become the head of the orphanage. She doesn't like being called Mama. Rui doesn't understand what difference it makes what she's called if the Zeta who wanted fame is no longer there. Zeta asks why the hero spends so much time here. He replies that he just wants to relax. The friend says that there is nothing interesting here, but Ryuya objects. He turns his attention to her body, but Zeta says that at this rate, his own wives will poison him. Mini-clone Abinion plays with children. Her real part brings Ryu back to the topic of poison, and reports that his wives have held a meeting. The problem is that the hero has too much stamina. Noem, on his own wavelength, replies that experiments can be conducted on it. Lesledza says to forget about alchemy. Abinion asks to know what his amount of endurance means then. Lesledza answers that they can train. Abinion is not satisfied with Noem's answers, and asks them if they know what men and women do at night. Lesledza is shocked that they are talking about obscenities. Noem says she understood Abinion. Noem created a potion that temporarily increases stats. Lesledza is about to drink 10 potions at once, but the spirit stops her and asks how many mothers there are in her family. Noem says she needs concubines. Lesledza realizes she's been abandoned. Knives prepared the potion as an auxiliary tool, but they will be able to reach Rui's level no matter how much they drink. They need concubines for him, but the problem is their number. Noem asks Abinion to help with this. She asks for her because her characteristics are closest to those of Ryu. As a result of the meeting, the wives decided that there would be 20 concubines. Zeta suggests abandoning the specific number, but such a limit is needed so that Ryuya does not go to the left and remembers the names of girls, which may include a beautiful girl. Zeta assumes that Abinion is talking about her, but she refuses, saying that she no longer has the right to be with Ryuya and she doesn't want to leave the shelter. She thanks the church for an important lesson. The hero and the spirit felt something outside. 2 large men surrounded the children and Noem. She asks them who they are, but they call her arrogant. Children scream that these men threaten their teacher. The bandits say that Noem can still be re-educated and sold. Ryuya comes running and says that they won't leave here alive. The hero sends them flying Although he is not omnipotent, he will not allow evil deeds to happen before his eyes. Ryuya broke all the bones of the dealers. Zeta thanks him for preventing them from committing crimes. These men are slave traders, so Ryuya did the right thing by treating them. Noam suggests the kids go home. Zeta tells Ru about the slave traders. The slave trade is prohibited in the country, so they hide behind other things and sell goods. She talks about skills, so Noam with the SSS rank skill wanted to be sold as a slave. Zeta also became their target due to her dual skill. Slavers often have no skills and do not belong to a specific faction. They don't have a guild card that lists all their stats and even crimes. If a person has crimes, then this is immediately reported to the church. The rest of the countries immediately extradite criminals. Zeta was naive that the slave trade would disappear after the royal ban. For the sake of slaves with rare skills, the church sends other people. Zeta can't believe that just because she has 2 skills, albeit mediocre ones, she is being hunted. This alone makes it a rare commodity. Zeta did not come to the soldiers or the guild with this, as she would have been immediately declared a fugitive. She was tired and wanted to scream, but Ryuya came and saved her and the children. Children are often targeted by slaves because at 14 they undergo a ceremony and can learn a valuable skill. Zeta thinks she has no right to ask Rui for anything. However, she asks that the guild take the children under its care. She herself is going to accept the same fate as the bandits. It's just that her time has not come yet. Ryuya didn't understand before how the lack of skill can affect a strong friendship, and he was upset that his friends abandoned him. But now he is not ready to leave his girlfriend. Rui asks a Binyan for help. The spirit happily helps him and calls upon the ghosts of slave traders. Rui does not sympathize with the bandits. Despite being just bags, Abinion was able to find out the locations of several bases. Rui immediately went to them. He quickly dealt with 2 slave companies. Rui is on his 3rd company cleanup, and he has no intention of holding back. Abinion calls upon the spirits of all slavers. She orders them to tell everything they know. Even though Ria committed a crime, he will not be punished because he is an S rank and has all the powers. The next base is on a flying island. Rui jumped to them, breaking through the bottom of the island. The slave traders wonder who he is. Rui won't be able to forgive himself if he doesn't deal with crime right now. He doesn't want to feel responsible. Therefore, he does everything in his power. He reached the kidnapped. No one began to treat them. Rui learned that people with communication skills are appointed as heads of companies. He is not happy with the state of affairs, but Abinion reassures him since he deals with everyone quickly. No one has time to report anything. They moved on to the next companies. Abinion found out the location of the head of the organization. When they meet, the leader says that he has been waiting for them for a long time. The leader wants to serve them properly, since Ryu is the hero of the kingdom. Rui says he wants to sort out the matter as soon as possible. Question about his goods. The head is flattered by the hero's interest in his goods. Because Rui quickly dealt with the daughters of the company, the head is not aware of all the events. Rui hints at a product that is banned in this country. The head says that he is an importer, but the hero notes that he is also involved in export. The leader urges Rui to tell him why he came to him. Rui wants to mention something else. He says he was cleaning up while he was on his way to the head, and right now Rui is looking at his main goal. The head doesn't understand what Rui is getting at. Rui reports that he has freed every prisoner. He noticed that the chief was sweating and accusing him of slave trading. The head assures that these are just empty words. Rui points out that the subordinate heads don't tell him anything. The chief says the accusations are baseless, but Rui says he has proof. The head says that he can go to jail himself if the evidence is material. Rui calls Abinion and asks her to help. She summons the ghosts of the people of the head. She asks them to show who their boss is. All ghosts point to the head. The head does not believe ghosts, says that they can lie. He says that there is no truth in their testimony. Rui is gonna prove that these ghosts can't lie. The leader is sure that Rui's position has turned his head. He mocks him. The leader decides to show his superiority, but dies. Abinyan summoned his ghost. The ghost answers all questions honestly. Back at the orphanage, Zeta is shocked at how far Rui has gone. She doesn't understand why he went so far for her. Noam praises Rui and says that he doesn't abandon people in trouble. Zeta agrees with Noam. She gives thanks for deliverance from slave traders. Rui learned that the boss was the founder of this business, and he sold slaves to other countries. He also realized that the church was collaborating with slave traders. Rui completed the report for the king. The king is shocked by this. The new minister also confirms it. While everyone is getting to know Ninku, the king is perplexed. The king ponders what to do to avoid reprisal. He turns to Rui and asks if he can kill everyone. He says great that he has already killed everyone and presents Zeta as a witness. The king says that taking a nun as a concubine is too much. Rui states that she is not there for this, and Ninku confirms her testimony about the slave traders. The king says he can help with his power, and this means that Zeta will be able to become an adventurer, which will help her earn money. Rui wants to take the next step. Rui found evidence that slaves were sent to other kingdoms. Therefore, he wants to get permission to destroy them. The king is in doubt and asks the prime minister for advice, but he suggests discussing it over dinner. He talks about the Republic of Blue Balm, where most of the population are slaves and slave traders. The king governs my country, and the Senate, which is elected every few years. On the one hand, they are trying to border the slave trade. On the other hand, it is the largest part of their economy. This is the only country where the slave trade is thriving, so Ryuya wants to destroy them. He doesn't understand how they are still thriving. The prime minister explains that this is one of the mysteries of humanity. They work with the church by selling people with powerful skills. Rui is going to destroy Blue Balm. He claims that this is a terrible sin and Blue Balm must be destroyed. He says that it was the Republic that was the eyesore all along. Blue Balm also continues to operate on the territory of the state. The king does not understand how they allow themselves to restrict the freedom of other people. He says that Blue Balm needs to be dealt with right now. Rui doesn't understand why it wasn't done earlier. The king explains that those who tried died of disease or found themselves at the center of scandals. The king realizes that they can no longer get in the way. First, he wants to demand monetary compensation from them. If they refuse, he will declare war on them. Rui suggests abandoning diplomacy. He argues that negotiations can buy time while they approach the church. He goes on to say that history could repeat itself if they do so. The king asks the minister what he proposes in that case. Rui wants to invade without further ado. The king and his minister are in shock. Noem and Rui want to end this as soon as possible, but the king reminds them that they are still a country and they cannot act without consequences. The king warns that the church may eventually turn everyone against Centakilian. Rui decided that he needed to first understand the situation and then think about his next steps. The prime minister agrees with Rui but wants to send an army, but the hero says he will go alone. Rui declares that this is a war between the slave traders and him. If he goes alone, nothing will harm the reputation of the kingdom. The king and the minister discuss that this could harm the hero as a future king, but the enemy still needs to be dealt with. The prime minister says that a legend will be composed about the lone hero and his exploits. Noam wants to go with Rui. Rui doesn't dare take her with him. Moreover, he didn't want to remind her of the past. Noam thanks Rui for saving her from slave traders. The hero remembers how weak she used to be. He tries to dissuade her, but Noem insists. She wants to go with him, she wants to save people, just like he does. Abinyan agrees with Noem and says that she had better go. The spirit assures that he cannot cope without her, and that they will not be able to pass all the tests together with her. The hero agrees with her. He can only hurt his opponents with his fists. Lesledza also really wanted to go with him, but she can't. Because of her position, she cannot perform such antics. Ryuya promises to return. Lesledza says that if something happens to him, she will cry. Rui, Noem, and Abinyan set out on a new journey. They reached the border between the kingdoms. It is clear that Noem is in bad shape. This happened because Ryuya ran for 5 days holding her in his arms. Noem blames herself, because if it weren't for her, the hero would already be in Blue Balm. Ryuya also apologizes to her. She scolds the hero for such words. Abinyan says that she is also ready to do anything for Rui. They stayed at a hotel. Don't underestimate spies. They could have already found out where the hero went. They decided to stand in one room because the hero would always be able to protect her. When alone one-on-one, nothing can stop Rui, but he decided to ignore the fact that she was his wife. While they are sleeping, someone comes into their room. A few hours ago, Lesledza teaches Zeta self-defense. The future queen shows her maid how to do it. Zeta decides it's better to be kidnapped. Meanwhile, at the hotel, 2 guards attack Ryu and Noem. In reality, the hero does not sleep. The robbers are going to tie them up and brand them as slaves. Rui doesn't understand how they found out about their route so quickly. He realizes that he has greatly underestimated the slavers, even though these guys are fools. The hero throws the robbers out the window. They are surprised. The hero did not sleep. He threatens them so that they don't wake up his girlfriend. First, Rui wants to know how they knew their route and the room they were sleeping in. He also wants to know about their laws of military power and information about the boss. Rui tries to find out from them, because he couldn't find out from others. The slave traders pounced on him. They attack him, but they can't do a single drop of damage, only ruining his nightshirt. It's sad that they are silent. The slavers say that this hotel is run by their people. They got a whistle. The hero takes this whistle. He is interested in the purpose of this whistle. The robbers are shocked. They lost all their spirit without that whistle. Rui gives it to them. Other criminals emerged from all sides. Their captain is at their head. He says that Rui did not outplay them, and points to the side. The hero notices beaten people there. The main robber says that the village belongs to them. The captain of the bandits threatens Rui with the lives of these people. The robbers are sure that the hero has lost his confidence. Rui says he won't defend himself. The slave traders say they will make perfect slaves out of them. However, Rui says he is not alone. The robbers don't understand what's happening. Abinion is angry that the robbers harmed the child before her eyes. She killed them all in one fell swoop. All the bandits have disappeared. Ria covers the children. Abinion calms the children. Ryuya wonders why she does this. She says she only does this so she doesn't wake Noam. Villagers are finally free from slave traders. Abinion says that he will immediately summon the spirits of the dead slave traders. Children thank the spirit and the hero in short. Ryuya apologizes to the villagers. He asks for forgiveness for putting them in danger by stopping near the village, but the elder asks him to raise his head. The elder says that although he doesn't know all the details, he is grateful to him. The elder says it was only a matter of time before they attacked. Rui understands something. There used to be a large number of villages in the village, but they were all destroyed. Ryuya clarifies the villagers' plans. The elder tells him that after the last attack on the village, they did not realize that their village would be the next target. Rui doesn't understand how this can be, since this village is in another country. The elder says that he could not appeal to the adventurers or the king. He says that all of those who tried to fight them lost their ranks. Their main power is the brand of slaves. Rui has heard of this brand before and does not understand how terrible it is. There used to be a knight captain who promised to stop hunting people. This captain was somehow caught, but he returned already branded as a slave. He cut down his comrades left and right. All the other knights fled. The top brass decided to turn a blind eye to all these incidents. The villagers left their places of residence and are heading to the capital. They call the hero with them. Rui says that they will separate as he is heading to Blue Bomb. The hero wants to stop the slave traders as soon as possible. He is going to give all the people back their homes. Noam just woke up and asks what happened. The next day, they arrived in the Republic of Blue Bomb. Rui is worried that they haven't met anyone yet. First, he wants to find the capital of the Republic. Abinion says that they are not very good travelers, Noam suggests, asking the locals. Abinion realizes that this is a bad idea. They notice people in the distance. They come to the place and see how slaves are being sold here. People are actively buying up slaves. There are even promotions here. Rue is approached and offered to buy slaves. The slave trader guarantees the quality of his slaves. Keteman offers to buy them now, so that the delivery is free. All the slaves that he has are B rank. If he wants better skills, then it is better to go to the capital. Keteman says that slaves with skills are not sold at a high price because they do not know how to use them. He says if a hero wants to brighten up the night, then skill doesn't matter. The girl he offers to buy him for the night has D rank skills. If he buys a female slave now, the slave trader can cast a spell against pregnancy. And he also offers male slaves. Noam asks Ryu to control herself, as they need to find out the location of the capital. A slave collector approaches and praises Noam, whom he took for a slave. He invites the hero to look at his collection. He talks about his slaves and is happy to meet a fellow collector. Ryuya is unhappy that he called him his own. Keteman praises the two of them for their excellent taste. The slave trader offers the collector to make a new purchase. The collector says that no work of art can be compared to slaves. But the collector says he's going to buy Noam from Rui. He asks the hero if he can sell it. Ryuya is perplexed by this proposal. The collector offers any price for the hero's companion. The collector claims that he can make a real slave out of her. Both the collector and the slave trader want Ryuya to sell Noam. A couple of minutes later, the hero killed all the slave traders. He apologizes to Noam because he had to give out information. His companion forgives the hero. She is glad that the hero decided to protect her. She understands that if information was needed, then it was necessary to go behind the scenes. Ryuya agrees with her. The adventurer turns to the slaves. Ryuya says that they are now free. He believes that he should help them start a new life. But before that, the hero wants to destroy Blue Balm. But his slaves do not obey him, they just go somewhere. The slave trader says, with his last strength, that it is useless to talk to them. Kadama said that they accepted the fate of slaves, and they do not need freedom. The hero doesn't understand where they are all going. The slave trader says that they realize that they will remain forever. The slave trader says that slaves cannot comprehend Rui's noble deed. The girls surrounded the collector and asked him not to kill. If a slave truly considers her master a savior, the slave traders laugh at the hero because he does not understand the connection between slave and master. The slave traders of Ryu will not allow Ryu to destroy the power of the bonds. The heroes are already beginning to agree with the slave traders' claims, but Abinion asks me to let him deceive me. The spirit says that some kind of technology was used on the slaves, and attacks one of them to prove it. Ryuya says not to attack the slaves, but Abinion says to look more closely. The heroes notice a mark on the girl's back. He understands that this is the mark of slaves. Ryuya is going to drink all the truth from the slave traders. The slave trader makes excuses about human rights, but Ryuya says it's not for him to talk about it. The hero threatens the slave trader that he will bury him alive. Abinion says that it is easier to kill me and make me speak in the form of a spirit. Noam says she has an elixir that can make him suffer for 5 years. Ryuya asks the slave trader what the slave brand is. He replies that this brand allows complete control over the branded. The hero asks where they are moving. The slave trader replies that if their master is gone, they are heading to Blue Balm, to the slave warehouse. The heroes arrived in the capital, and they were shocked by what they saw. Ryuya realizes that the slaves did not actually act of their own free will. They were simply deprived of the ability to think. Abinion suggests erasing the brand. The slave traders say it's impossible. The brand is the main tool in their system, and it cannot be destroyed just like that. Rui threatens the slave trader, to which he replies that there really is no way to remove the brand. The slave trader says that they have tested this method, and it is true that there is no such method. Abinion says that nothing is impossible for her. The hero counts on the spirit. Rui says that she is not just a ghost and she can do anything. Rui says that she is the hero's comrade. The slave traders did not expect to see a vengeful spirit. The spirit says she can't do anything about this brand. The hero is disappointed in her. The slave traders are happy about it. Abinion says that the problem is that the seal, so she can't do anything. If she tries to remove it, the body will be damaged. The spirit suggests completely erasing the body, to which Rui replies that then the person will simply die. Rui is unhappy that he always relied on Abinion and now has to do it himself. The spirit apologizes to the hero. Noam says she can help. She says her medicines can remove the seal from the body. And Abinion in this case can remove the seal from the soul. Noam has already made such a medicine. She has already started to clean the seals. The slaves resist this, but the seal is still removed. Noam and Abinion work together and are engaged in erasing the seals. If they work together, nothing can stop them. The collector yells at Ryu for taking his slaves. He says that although they can remove the seal from them, the connection between them cannot be broken. All slavers shout that the bond is eternal. However, the slaves with the seals removed begin to take revenge on their former masters. The collector says he fed and clothed them, but they say they were simply kidnapped. Former slaves are unhappy that they were forced to be slaves. The first girl had a wedding planned. The second girl wants to go back to her parents. The third girl says that without her, her family will die of hunger. Even though they were dressed, it does not change the fact that their freedom was taken away from them. There was never any connection between slaves and slave traders. Those suffering from the loss of a person did not even know where the missing person had gone. Ryuya calls the slave trade evil simply because it exists. The slave traders fear that their republic is destroyed due to the loss of the seals. This is exactly what Ryuya was trying to achieve. The hero wants to return the stolen people to their homes, but former slaves say they can handle it themselves. One of the slaves says that he used to serve in the army, so he can handle everything. Many former warriors have gathered who say that they will be able to protect everyone on the way to the border. Rui realizes that free slaves can handle everything on their own. Beaten slavers draw attention to themselves. Abinion supposes that they will burn well. Noam says they need to beat the information out of them first. Former slaves beat up slave traders. The heroes arrived in the capital, where the Senate was sitting. For some reason, slaves could not disobey the order of their master, even though their consciousness and memory remained clear. So if you fix a swordmaster, he will retain all his skills. But if you fix a statesman, he will reveal all his secrets. Abinion does not believe that this seal was created by people. She thinks spirits are involved. She is unhappy that this seal is beyond her skill. Noam does not understand how it is possible to recreate the effects of this seal in a potion. Rui tells them to stop, says that their behavior is being negatively influenced by the capital. The heroes were interested in the slaves they met. Along the way, they move like dolls. Rui believes that everyone they met in this capital are slaves. Abinion proposes to destroy the capital with one blow and turn it into ashes. But Rui says that it is enough to destroy the Senate. The hero says that we need to prepare first, and asks Abinion to do this. He also asks Noam not to leave him. The heroes are met by a man who says that he was asked to accompany them. Rui says he wants to meet with the Senate. The hero asks if the merchants who head the Senate want to escape, and the man says that the Senate is waiting for him. Noam notices a brand on the man's neck. She assumes that there are no people in the country without a stigma. Ryuyu greets the Senate meeting. The hero reproaches them for ruling a country of slave traders. The Senate responds that slaves are a commodity and sees no problem with its actions. Rui is called the merchants' top of all evil, to which they reply that they are only honest merchants. The merchants compare Ryu to themselves, but the hero says that this is offensive to him. Ryuya intends to ask a couple more questions. One of the merchants introduced himself as the Governor General. He says that there is no hierarchy among them, but his voice becomes decisive. He accuses the hero of disgusting manners. Ryuya introduces himself in response. He ends his introduction by saying that he wants to destroy this country. Bruce doesn't understand why he wants to destroy them, to which Rui replies that if they continue to exist, hundreds of people will not be able to live a normal life. The Senate does not understand when they manage to make people unhappy. All the people who made a purchase from them were satisfied. The Governor General says that demand creates supply, so they continue to do business. The hero replies that business as such is not a problem, but they are ignoring the essence. He doesn't like that their goods are people. What the Senate is doing is abnormal, and the heroes have decided to destroy their country. The Governor General compares slaves to livestock. Ryuya says that his acquaintance can also become slaves, so he has the right to resist. And this means that every member of the Senate will die. The Rui are going to have a bloody finale. The Governor General demands compensation for damages caused. He doesn't like the fact that Rui attacked their merchants and destroyed their goods. Rui realized that he was guilty of putting his own interests above the destruction of slave traders. He decided to wipe them off the face of the earth. The Senate cries out that they have the right to life. The Governor General regrets the hero's words because he believed that they could become friends. The Governor General begins to use his skill. He attacks the protagonist by placing a cursed seal on him. A seal appeared on the hero's face. Noam is worried about her husband. The Governor General calls him his property. The Senate is already rejoicing in its victory. The Governor General issues the first assignment. He orders a search of Noam. Rui's eyes became cloudy. However, he was able to overcome the stigma imposed on him, which shocked the Senate. Rui says they won't be able to make him their slave. Each Senate member starts using the cursed seal skill to cast it on the hero. They combine their skill into one and direct it at the hero. The skill hits the hero but has no effect. Senate members don't understand why the skill didn't work. Even though they cast all the seals at once, Ryuya was not affected by them. The hero himself does not understand what is happening. He wonders how so many people have the same skill. Although, on the other hand, he understands why the slave trade is thriving here. Every member of the Senate has a perfect crowd control skill, but it's still unclear why they all have the same skill. The hero wondered how old the Governor General was. Ryuya offers to tell all the secrets, and they can die in peace. He is surrounded by a bunch of slaves with knives. Ryuya reminds of his achievements, saying that he defeated 5,000 monsters and burned down an entire country. The Governor General orders the slaves to present knives to their throats. Ryuya didn't expect such an outcome. The hero is unhappy that they decided to take advantage of other people's lives. There are 50 people in this room that Ryuya can't save at the same time. They can also put a knife to the throat of every slave in this country. The Senate says that hundreds, if not thousands, could die because of the hero. The Senate turned every slave into a hostage. They want to put a seal on Rui's wife. The Senate is already choosing the place where the seal will be placed on Noam's body. Noam is unhappy with what they say is the master's weak point. She begins to come up with cruel ways to kill, so that no one will know what happened here. The Governor General offers Ryu to voluntarily carve the cursed seal on his body. If he does this, then everyone will stay alive. Rui stops their joy. He says that what they don't do is not enough for him to start listening to them. The Senate laughs at the hero, saying that he doesn't care about other people because of his own benefit. Ryu is asked to accept his fate. The hero sees another way out besides those offered to him by the Senate. The Senate does not believe that the hero will be able to save all the slaves at once. The Senate insists that the hero will not be able to save all the slaves at once. They assure him that the only way to leave everyone alive is to become their slave. Ryuya agrees that saving everyone at once is too risky. However, Ryuya strikes all the members of the Senate. Although he cannot save all 5,000 slaves at once, he can kill 10 of them instantly. Ryuya doesn't understand why dead bodies without heads didn't fall. Noam reports that the cursed seal has not yet disappeared. The hero realizes that the Senate was a demon that was still alive. He rises laughing. A huge demon appears in front of Ryu, saying that the heroes are becoming more and more problematic. Mizurek says that he belongs to the Demon King class. His level 999 is the limit of demon evolution. Rui realizes that the church and demons are collaborating. The cursed seal was not a human skill, but the power of demons. The demon says that nothing is impossible for him, so controlling over 5,000 people was very easy. What remains of the Senate members' bodies returns to the demon. Ryuya realizes that since the demon had the division skill, all the members of the Senate were one being. There were no people with one skill, it was just one demon. A person with the skill of subjugation was never born. Mizurek simply used division. The demon has been putting on his own personal show for several hundred years. Mizurek praises Ryui for getting so close to the truth. The demon claims to be the sole ruler of the Blue Balm Republic. Rui wants to understand whether he did this by order of the church or by order of the demonic gods. The demon yells at Ryu to shut up. Mentioning demonic gods from a human mouth is considered blasphemy. The demon says that people just need to do nothing and continue living as before. The demon took the slaves hostage again, and they began to strangle themselves. Mizurek says that if the hero wants to save everyone, then he should become his slave. However, Rui understands that if he becomes a slave, it will not save anyone. The hero hopes that this demon will be able to cut off his head with one blow, like last time, but Rui understands that there is no need for this, since Noam and Abinion want to help him. The demon already believes that the hero is ready to sacrifice himself for the sake of the innocent. Mizuraku was hit, but he didn't understand what happened. The curse of the seal would be lifted from all slaves. The demon does not understand how the seals disappeared by themselves. Abinion says his demonic technique is not all-powerful. She explains that the demon must have known about the existence of a technique that allows one to instantly move a desired point. One only needs to come up with a technique to stop this. For a spirit like her, it's easy as pie. Abinion claims that this demon is not her equal. Noam unveiled a new spray that can remove the curse. Abinion absorbed this spray and spread its effects throughout the country. All hostages have been released, so you can freely attack the demon. Rui says the demon should admit defeat. The demon screams angrily. He used his skill stomach area. The heroes found themselves in a special area where the demon's skills become stronger. This area reflects Mizuraka's stomach. The demon says that his stomach can digest even steel. Noam introduces his new drug that can help them. This drug neutralizes the acidity of gastric juice. However, it didn't work in the demon's stomach. He used a skill that releases teeth all over the stomach, but the hero is not going to give up so easily. Rui fights his way to the exit. It tears the stomach from the inside. The demon doesn't understand why Rui doesn't react to contact with his juice. Rui was too strong to dissolve. The hero doesn't like to kill, but he's ready to kill this demon. Rui insists that without Mizuraka, the world will become the best. So he prepares a massive strike to completely destroy the demon. A massive explosion occurs. Finally, the slave state collapsed all the former world thanks Rui. The hero is praised for having defeated the entire Senate. People assume that the demon used illusions. The former slave thanks the hero on behalf of all slaves and the nation. He turned out to be the prince of the neighboring kingdom of Savatera. He entered here under the guise of a slave, but he was exposed and sealed. If it weren't for Rui, he would have been bought by an old engineer to participate in forced experiments. The prince wants the hero to help him destroy the entire slave trade, since there are still small traders left. According to the prince, they conduct seminars on the slave trade. The prince says he can quickly deal with the rest of the merchants. Rui realized that the consequences were harder to deal with. It was necessary to find out where the slaves came from. They called for help from Centakilion to transport the former slaves. Food provided by Noam. She obtained water through alchemy. Noam can handle dry soil too. Heroes plant seeds and use fertilizers. The next day the harvest was ready. They have radishes, tomatoes, and much more. It dawned on Rui that with alchemy, anything was possible. After several dozen days, the army of Centakilion arrived to rescue the slaves. Lesledza greets Rui. The hero provided a list of slaves and places where they needed to be delivered. Lesledza asks where Noam is. Rui points to the vegetable garden. Rui apologizes for bringing the king into this, but Lesledza replies that it's no big deal. The queen replies that she is ready to give her full support. A list of the remaining slave traders was found from the documents. Rui says it's worth distancing yourself from the church. Lesledza praises the hero, saying that he is amazing, but he still has something to say. He talks about the cursed seal. Lesledza suggests that there should be no problems after the governor's death. The army of former slaves gradually destroys the remnants of the traders. According to Abinion, the seals were supposed to disappear after the death of the skill owner. But seals are still found on freed slaves. Rui says that there are several ways to keep the seal even after the skill owner dies. Abinion says that in important places for the church, there may be some kind of fuse. Since Noam and Abinion are going to capture the slavers, there are no problems with destroying the seals. Lesledza says it won't be possible to find the fuse quickly. Information about slave buyers was found in the archives. However, Rui could not find any traces of the church in the archives. Rui and Lesledza say that someone wants to meet them. This is a church member who calls himself a bishop. Lesledza screams to be driven away. The bishop is not going to leave. He wants to congratulate on the victory. They keep driving him away. Lesledza shouts that he has no right to accept congratulations, since this is not their war. Biryask wants to talk peacefully with the princess. Rui threatens the bishop with death. People in the field got a huge turnip that tasted like meat. The people praise alchemy for this. The bishop doesn't understand Rui's threat. Biryask says he prays for places like this country to disappear. Rui continues to drive away the bishop. Lesledza could not stand it, and told the bishop to quickly lay everything out. Biryask says that the church is glad about the destruction of the country of slave owners. Rui is thinking about how to get him out of here as soon as possible. The bishop asks how the transport of slaves is going. He is told that everything is going well. Biryask suggests finishing this faster and settling people in temples. Rui and Lesledza did not expect to hear this. The bishop says that people in the church will have all the benefits. Ryuya accuses the church of hunting people with skills. He says that after the destruction of the supplier, they decided to take all these people for themselves. Biryask says that these are empty accusations. The bishop speaks of the importance of the church. He attributes to Rui the sin of accusing the church. The church brings order to the world according to Biryask. Rui says that this country was actively supported by the church, but Biryask says that the church helps those in need. The bishop laughs at Rui's assertion that the needy are people with skills. The bishop says that promoting Rui to rank S without a single skill seems like a joke. The bishop says he will ask to appeal the decision to promote Rui. Rui continues to say that the involvement of the church in the slave traders is obvious. The bishop laughs at this. Biryask asks to present evidence. Rui frightens the bishop by saying that he has plenty of evidence from the archives. In fact, he is lying. The bishop began to get nervous from these words. Naturally, the Senate did not trust the church, so it decided to play it safe. Rui reveals the code to the safe that is full of evidence. The bishop asks why they didn't announce the safe right away. Rui sees that Biryask is confused because only a few people knew about this safe. The hero says that no one would reveal such a trump card. The bishop still doesn't believe. Rui says that he will not allow the church to wander around the country and tells the bishop to get lost. The bishop realized that Rui was lying, but still he leaves. He asks again about Rui's decision in the bishop's departure. Two heroes appear near Biryask. They are the strongest heroes of the church. Rui suggests that the bishop wants to turn this into a fight, but the bishop suggests thinking about the need for help from the church. At this time, the prince, whom the hero freed from slavery, runs up to Rui and tells him about the trouble. He says that a large army of demons appeared in the sky. Rui actually sees demons in the sky. An army of people thinks about what can be done in this situation. Rui doesn't understand why the demons are approaching them. The bishop says that a great disaster is coming. Biryask asks the hero if he needs help from the church. Rui seems to think that the bishop knew that this would happen. The bishop offers divine blessing. Biryask shows how to ask for a blessing, but at this time the demons strike. This is the demon queen Gilmir's landing. The hero realizes that she is on a completely different level of strength. Rui thinks about how to defeat her and starts to get nervous. Abinion tells him to cast away disturbing thoughts. The spirit says that the hero did not carefully consider the status of the demon. Rui noticed something about him and became embarrassed. Gilmers addresses Rui specifically. She calls him handsome. The demon says she's not here to fight. She learned this from Sanyatans, who also flew here. Sanyatans is angry that Ryuya forgot about the promise he made. Gilmers asks the hero who killed Mizurak. Ryuya says it was him, to which the demon says no problem. She says that even in the demon world, he was not loved. The demon says that Ryuya is handsome compared to Mizuraka, but then returns to the topic. At first, Gilmers praises demons, but still there are creatures stronger than her. For a long time, the demons were their slaves. Gilmers says that Rui is not inferior to demons in strength, and that is why she made a decision. She acknowledges the promise Ryuya made. The demons will recognize the hero's strength and will fight on his side. Gilmers asks Ryu to free the demons from the oppression of the demon gods. She says that demons have strove to create the existing foundations of the world. Lesledza clarifies that this is the point of view of demons only. Gilmers asks to continue speaking. She doesn't call demons special. Demons are the same creatures that have become victims of stronger ones. Demonic gods rule this world. They ordered the demons to attack people. Demons never had anything against people. Lesledza recalls from history that demons attacked human settlements for the sake of mockery. Gilmers says this is the people's version. Of course, not all demons are ready to live with people. Some despise humanity. But she says that among people, there are those who do not hate demons. People are divided into strong and weak. A person without skill can be humiliated just like that. Gilmers says there is no bad race. She calls Ryu Lord and says that he must agree with her. All the demons who came to the hero want to take an oath of allegiance. Gilmers and the rest are ready to do anything. The people are shocked by the demon's statement. Ryuya asks what they want in return. Gilmers asks simply to protect them from the demonic gods. Sanyatans assures that they will not attack humans. Ryuya accepts their oaths. There are only 72 demons. If one dies, a new one will be born. Besides Gilmers, there is another demon king who carries out the orders of the demon gods. But with Gilmers' support, the rest of the demons won't be a problem. Biryask doesn't want to leave it like that. The bishop shouts that the demons have been enemies for hundreds of years. An alliance with them will be a betrayal, and the church will declare the allies of demons as enemies. Biryask continues by saying that Ryu will be stripped of her S-class. The bishop is in despair. Ryuya asks Abinion and Lesledza for advice. Gilmers put on the bishop, so she threw it off. She asks Biryask who his god is. The demon says that for the sake of this god, he is ready to destroy the alliance between the demons and Ryu. She asks if she is right, that the god of demons and humans is one and the same being. Rui says that the bishop addressed him with some strange request. Biryask was talking complete nonsense. The gods have always transmitted orders that are beneficial to the church. The bishop says that the church is full of mysteries. Gilmers says she has a gift for Rui. She asks him to accept this gift. Ryu is confused by the contents of the gift and asks for an explanation. The demon asks if the hero has any questions left, namely, why didn't the cursed seal disappear after Mizuraka's death? This gift is the answer to Rui's question. This magical tool allows seals to remain even after death. He absorbed Gilmir's power to maintain the power of the seals. Rui asks if this instrument should be broken. The bishop stops him. Rui asks what he is so afraid of. Gilmir says that thanks to the appearance of the bishop, the demons were able to join the force capable of opposing the gods. The instrument slipped away. Gilmir's was able to catch him thanks to her strength. She was finally able to destroy him. Feeding the instrument took a lot of her energy. Gilmir's subordinates are glad that their mistress is free from this instrument. She is thrown up in the air with joyful cries. Gilmir says that the seal that worried the hero has disappeared. This can be considered first aid. One of the heroes, Morgan, was with a cursed seal, but now he is free. Because the church spoke to him, he runs to kill the bishop. He is stopped by the second hero of the church. Rui is amazed that there was a seal on it. Gilmir says that there are many of these in the church. Rui realizes that the church is now in complete chaos. Gilmir's with the demons undertakes to be faithful hands and feet. They are ready to do any job. The heroes were pacified. Morgan took the bishop with him. The second hero was tied up. Gilmir's wonders how she can help. The demon does not like opinion. She assures that she will be able to please the spirit. The demons say they can take up transporting people, since they have several who can teleport. But there are still more than 10,000 slaves, so there is a lot of work. However, Ryu remains uneasy even after the cursed seal is destroyed. Many slaves have regained free will, which means they can turn everything into chaos. Anything can happen to both slaves and their masters. Rui has all the addresses of the slave owner's house of one of the clients. The man is amazed by Noam's beauty. She distracts him with a pass, and at this time sprays gas in his face. They come to her aid to take away the slaves. The slaver's second client, she says the delivery is just in time. The woman is surprised at who came to her, because she ordered another man. Thanks to teleportation and S-Class licenses, Ryu's team managed to do it in 2 weeks. Abinion said that there was no one in the country. Rui says that he has finally decided to cover up all traces. Gilmir's is amazed by the master's strength. At first, he thought to leave the remains of the country as a warning, but he doubts that anyone would want to use this place. Therefore, he makes it so that it reaches everyone. He delivers a devastating blow. The explosion from the impact spreads further and further. The blow was so strong that everything turned to dust. Nothing remains of the Blue Balm Republic. The demons are shocked that he destroyed the country with a simple blow. Gilmir's realizes what people are capable of. Now we need to get busy changing the map. King Leonhardt addresses Ryuya. He and his team listen attentively to the king. The king says that this time, Ryuya has outdone himself. The king is shocked by the demons accompanying the hero. Ryuya introduces him to Gilmir's. The king is surprised that the hero even made an alliance with demons. Gilmir's doesn't understand why the king of men is so weak. Ryuya suggests settling the demons away from the capital. The king agrees. Ryuya is surprised that the king did not drive away the demons, but accepted them. The king says that Ryuya has made the world move again. All countries of the world send gratitude for the deliverance from the slave trade. Ryuya notices that the main problem still remains the church. According to the prime minister, half of the church members have rebelled. The world has previously relied too much on the church. Countries united in their desire to help the slaves. The king says this is their chance to unite and fight back against the church. He is going to hold a summit. Ryuya remembers training with a dragon. The dragon's blow even tore his clothes apart. The dragon says that this level is beyond his capabilities. Yet, Ryuya asks about the pattern on the new clothes. The dragon says that it is needed to restrain Ryuya's power. After all, Ryu can destroy a couple of planets. Ryuya doesn't understand why he remembers this. He sees changes in his clothes. She changed completely, and the pattern disappeared. Ryuya says that when he woke up, his clothes were already like this. 1191. His wives suggest how this could have happened. He asks Abinion's opinion. She says that the restriction imposed by the dragon has disappeared. Noam and Lesledze guess that the hero did not fight at full strength. Rui decides to go out and walk around in his new clothes, since he has some free time. When he went out into the city, he noticed insults directed at him on the wall. He doesn't understand what this means. Noam draws his attention to the magazine. It contains an article denigrating the hero. He doesn't understand how it's possible that he just returned from a mission and has already managed to become the main pervert of the country. Noam is sure that it can't be her master, since she was with him all the time. Most likely, someone wants to slander him. A man who looks like Ryu looks under a girl's skirt. The real Ryu runs to him. The hero tied up the deceiver. He asks Noam to beat the whole truth out of him and then get rid of him. While Noam lists the methods, Ryuya hears screams from the side. He sees another cheater running away without paying for his food. Ryuya stops this guy too. They decide with Noam what to do with this liar. Abinion addresses Rue. She says that the whole city is cursing her master. They come to the conclusion that someone wants to completely blacken the hero. Ryuya wants to know from the captured what their purpose is. Here again, angry shouts are heard towards Rui. Ryuya decided to catch all the fakes first. At this time in the palace, people dislike the minister because he has no skills. Then they started discussing what Ryuya was doing in the city. The demon appears and addresses the minister. He was scared to death of her and says that they promised to hide. The demon changed her appearance and promises not to stand out. She came to find out about records of demons, tales, legends, and the like. The Prime Minister does not understand why she needs such recordings. She says that she is stressed. The demon likes to read in his free time and now wants to study human books about demons. The minister took her to the library, but he wanted to see the head of the library here, but he did not find him here. The demon thanked the minister and ran to study the books. During this time, Rui managed to catch quite a few fakes. He asks to beat a confession out of them at any cost. Under the influence of the potion, the deceiver began to say who they came from. Ryuya is horrified to think that they are from the Dragon King. Fake finishes saying that he is from the audition for Ryu. Ryuya came to this audition and sees a crowd of fakes here. Noam understands that they are recruiting fakes here and offering to cause trouble for money. Noam took the clothes from the fakes and decided to change. She wants to do this to get in there and find the organizer. If things get out of hand, Noam will give the signal to destroy this place. The host announces the start of the exam. The test asks you to fill in the blanks. Monster attacks a girl. Ryuya delivers a straight punch. The girl thanks the hero. It is suggested to insert his answer option. The girl is against it, then another answer option is inserted into Rui's answer. Rui runs away from her. Rui doesn't understand what needs to be inserted into these gaps. He sees that Noam has reached. She dictates the answer to him, saying that in the first gap he suggests taking off his clothes, and in the second he says that in that case he would go. Ryuya tears up the test out of anger. The organizer says that he is disqualified, so he will erase his memory and send him home. Noam realizes the plan is a failure, so she uses her bombs. They filled the whole room with smoke. Noam tells Rue to do everything without violence. He agrees with her and decides to create a small disaster. Spinning in place, he creates a small tornado. Ryuya and Noam emerge from the smoke. Ryuya is confident that he was able to contain his powers. He stands in the center of the ruins with Noam. The organizer of the wiretapping remained a secret, but the counterfeit factory was destroyed. For Prince Lucerk, it is a disaster. However, he quickly came to terms with it. The prince asks the cardinal for forgiveness for his sudden departure. Cardinal Nummermans asks if there are any problems. The prince replies that everything is fine. This problem will be able to occupy him until the summit. To achieve his goals, the prince is ready to resort to cruelty. He assures that the summit will go according to their plan. The day before the summit, Ryuya examines the hung flag. Ryuya talks about how tomorrow will be a hard day and suggests that Lesledze go take a nap. Lesledze replies that Ryu must definitely be at the summit, and she will be quite busy at that time. She is worried because she doesn't know how long they won't be able to see each other. Ryuya realized that something was wrong with them because they had been so close lately. Lesledze offers food. Ryuya asks to try what Lesledze eats. Ryuya liked it. She said that Noam grew it. Isabella interferes with the rest of Rui and Lesledze. She is happy to see Ryu after a month and promises to take care of him in the evening as his wife. Lesledze does not understand why her sister is called a wife. She says that Isabella cannot be his wife, since she is considered Rui's sister. Isabella responds by saying that Lesledze will go to the left. She claims that her younger sister doesn't like Ryu. Isabella says she is sure that Lesledza will not be against concubines at Rui's. Lesledza asks to stop portraying her as a villain. She says that before this role belonged to her, but Isabella says that she has changed. Ryuya watches the sisters quarrel from the sidelines. They used to be unable to speak to each other, but now they are more like family. Isabella says that she will definitely be able to be of use to Rui. She says that because the heroes have not been in the kingdom for a long time, a lot has happened here. Isabella whispers in Ru's ear that she wants children from him. But then he gives real information that Lucerche has something in mind. Lucerche is the second prince. He is the third child in a row. Isabella says that Lucerne was the next child in line to the throne after Zemnant. Lesledza says that this cannot be because he agreed with his father's decision. Isabella assures that she will not become a queen. Isabella reminds why Zemnant was locked in prison and who convinced the hero to participate in the exam. It was Lucerche. Isabella thinks that Lucerne knew about everything from the very beginning, and Zemnant was even more greedy than Isabella. So he asked Ryu to participate in the exam. Lesledza comes to the conclusion that Lucerche is to blame for the fall of Zemnant. She says that this cannot be because Zemnant could not fall for such a trick. Lesledza thinks that Zemnant destroyed himself. Lucerche could not have thought it all out so well. And if he did think it all out that way, then he is very dangerous, and he has also been in contact with the church lately. Isabella remembers about Reckless, who is also acquainted with Lucerche. The interests of Lucerne and the church coincide. They want to push the king off the throne. And finally, it was Lucerche who sent the bishop. He should be busy preparing the army, but he urgently sent a message to someone, most likely for the church. Although they could not get rid of the bishop who came, they are surprised that the second prince was behind all the problems. At the summit, we must be careful, as the prince will not stand aside. Ryu realizes that he is a much more dangerous opponent. The hero wonders where Lucerche is now, but it turns out he hasn't been in the castle for a long time. Isabella says that she wants to be Rui's support in everything, and this hint was just an example. She will wait for Ryuya to go to bed with her. On the day of the summit, kings from all countries came together. The minister is surprised by the demon's powers in teleportation. The king of Rubrum has arrived. This king greets Ryuya and congratulates him on achieving S rank. The king apologizes for his nephew. The girls say they admire him. The black-haired girl greets the new minister. She holds her sword to his throat. She thought he smelled like a demon. The minister began to worry that there might be reading demons nearby. Mrs. Bistamario arrived. She praises Ryu for her efforts. Bistamario says that he has advanced a lot. She thinks that it is thanks to her recommendation. The heroine refuses. She definitely deserves her future position as the Adventurers Guild chairman. She thanks him for dealing with the slave owners. Bistamario says that he will not face any consequences for this, since even the council recognized this country as a criminal organization. She says that the destruction of this country should be celebrated. Bistamario promises to stand up for Ryu at the summit and give him a new title. The Book of the Hero's achievements will be passed down from generation to generation. Rui is worried that his mistakes are also recorded there. Bistamario explains that he must be an example for future generations, so that the story about him will be passed down for centuries to come. She promises that she will definitely write down everything he does for the most accurate history. Rui assures that he will live correctly, but he is worried about the incident with the fakes. King Crasiato of the Kingdom of Savaterra arrived. He immediately thanks the hero on behalf of the country. Ryuya does not understand who this man is, and the minister suggests that the hero saved his son from slavery. Ryuya remembers this handsome man. The king says that all his wars had a cursed seal imposed on us. According to King Otto, his son promises to visit Ryuya. With each passing minute, more and more kings arrived who wanted to greet the hero. 2 hours later, King Leonhardt thanks everyone present for their arrival. He introduced himself and declared the summit open. They asked to omit the formal greetings. They say his hero kept them busy. Leonhardt agrees with this, but says that the other kings are grateful to him. The king of Sentakilia mentioned some kind of conspiracy. He wants to hear the details. The other kings became interested in this conspiracy. Leonhardt suggests getting straight to the point. It is rare that all the powers can gather in one place. Leonhardt used the destruction of Blue Balm as an excuse to gather, but in fact the problem is different. Someone appears from the side from which the summit topic was voiced. This is Cardinal Nummermans. He is going to participate in the summit on behalf of the church. He is sad that the church was not invited to such an important meeting. Ryuya can't afford to act because he doesn't want others to see him as a cruel prince. The cardinal claims that Lucerche called him. The prince explains that he is simply concerned about the future of the royal family. Ryuya wanted to say something, but the king stopped him. He turns to his son. Lucerche says he just corrected his mistake. Everyone knew that the summit was held to discuss the activities of the church. The church is a thorn in the side of all countries. Nummermans thanks those gathered for their concern for the honor of the church. The king does not understand what he is getting at. The cardinal says that there is confusion in the church, and most likely everyone has already heard about it. Kings condemn the actions of the church. The cardinal doesn't like to hear all this. He reproaches the kings for having been too quick to believe unfounded rumors. The kings object that this is not a rumor, it is happening all over the world. The cardinal asks if they know the reason. When Ryuya returned all the slaves, he informed about the situation. Kings cry about the cursed seal. The cardinal says the rumors were misleading. He says there is no evidence of how they bought slaves. There were many witnesses of former slaves going berserk. The cardinal says that the seal does not exist, and there is no evidence that it ever existed. He creates a new conspiracy theory that the cursed seals are a lie. The church decided to use the summit to cover up their crimes. And the kings ask who, in that case, arranged all this. The cardinal says that it is he who organized this summit. Leonhardt says that the cardinal is shifting the blame too, obviously. But the cardinal speaks of an alchemist named Noam, who can create absolutely any poison, such as driving people crazy. Ryuya is furious that the cardinal accuses Noam. The cardinal claims that this is not a fabrication. Leonhardt says that the church, with its number of skills, is much more suspicious. Cardinal presents false evidence about drug created by Noam. He provides the kings with a list of poisonous materials that Leonhardt's country was purchasing. Lucerche chuckles at the fact that this list is simply fake. The summit was temporarily suspended. The king says that all this was built. He claims that Lucerche was simply playing the role of a traitor. Leonhardt praises his son for being the one who came up with this plan. Rui calls Lesledza to ask her opinion about this. Lucerche says that he will gladly play the role of the villain as many times as necessary. Lesledza tells Rui that her brother is a peculiar person. The prince declares that he is always glad to communicate with the hero. Rui asks the prince to explain something. He asks about the story with the fakes. The prince says that he arranged it. Rui asks about the advice to pass the A rank exam. The prince says there was no hidden intention. The prince only thought that 80 rank would not be able to become the princess's husband. He sent the bishop because the king proposed that his son enter the church. The prince had to infiltrate the church. Thanks to this, the church's trust in Lucerne grew. The prince was confident in Ryu's strength and any outcome. Thanks to the hero, Lucerne acted without hesitation. The prince easily wins people's trust. Thanks to this, the connection between slave traders and the church is revealed. Now the church decides nothing. It has lost the trust of the whole world. Ryuya realizes that Lucerne is the most dangerous of all the king's children. Isabella herself came up with stories about Lucerne. Although the king wants to marry Isabella, Lucerne has other plans for her. The prince realizes that it is difficult to trust him now after his actions. He understands perfectly well that it is difficult to trust someone who was once a traitor. But even he has ideals that the prince cannot convey. Since the prince has completed all the king's orders, he once again wants to ask the king for something. Ryuya glares at Lucerche. The king says he made a promise to the prince. In exchange for opening the church, the king will fulfill the prince's request. But he is not interested in the role of king. He cannot compare with Lesledza. He lost all desire after his brother and sister's fight for the throne. Lucerche enjoyed the life of a prince. He moved around the world, incognito. The prince met a girl in the city whom he wants to protect. The king says he has fallen in love with a city girl. Lucerche praises this girl's care for him. The king yells at his son for starting to dance. The prince asks his father for permission to marry a simple girl. The king says that Lucerne just wants to make a fuss. The prince replies that it is his father's influence. The king asks his son how he wants to marry her, whether she will agree to become part of the royal family. The prince says that this is too much of a burden for her, so he is ready to lose his title. The king says he does not want to make such a talent. However, the prince retorts that he has revealed himself to the entire summit, and no one will believe him anymore. Now he can leave the palace without regrets. Lucerche asks Ryu to take care of her sister. The prince, in all his glory, he is able to deceive anyone, but for him, there is nothing more important than love. The king says that one day his children ran away from the kingdom and Lucerche was among them, but he did it for the sake of his beloved. After his deed, he immediately returned back. In those days, he was ready to do anything for the country. When he defeated the demon, he immediately returned to his beloved. Even though he is willing to sacrifice himself for the country, this does not make him a worthy king. For Lucerche, the most important thing in life is her beloved. The king can only entrust the throne to Les. The king says he will still keep an eye on Lucerche. After meeting the spirit, the king realized that talent can be found anywhere. As an example, the king cited the new prime minister. The king advises Ryu not to let love blind him. The king tells Ryuya to watch him to see how he behaves with Lucerche. They went back to the summit. The kings say it is time to resume the assembly. The king called the main theme of the summit church action. He proposes to destroy her. It was unanimously decided that this was the right decision. The kings say that the church has always demanded huge donations. The church is pissed off every king. One has increased crime. The second has had his princess with an S-class skill taken away. Rui realizes that everyone is fed up with the church. Queen Decamelon also wants to speak out. She wonders if the church should be completely destroyed. She's not going to protect the church, but the main threat is demons. Decamelon says that the church helped to cope with them, thanks to their heroes. She proposes to leave the foundation of the church in order to be able to control it. Rui says that he is against it. We must take the chance and completely destroy them. He introduced himself. All the kings recognized him and said that he was too young to be an S-class hero. Queen Decamelon asks what to do with the demons then. Rui says that he has his own opinion about them. A demon appears in the hall. Rui wants the kings to listen to her. The hero introduces Gilmers to the entire summit. The kings are frightened by the sight of the demon queen and call for the guards. Rui tries to calm them down. The hero says that some demons swore allegiance to him. The queen did not expect this from demons. The kings do not believe that the demon is not going to attack people. Gilmers assures that it is meaningless for them. She explains that demons do not kill of their own free will. She came to the summit to tell the truth, that people don't know. She says that the church must be destroyed. Gilmers laughs at the humans' behavior when they see the demon queen. Ryuya doesn't like her haughty tone. The demon apologizes for his behavior. Rui asks her not to insult other people. He says that Gilmer should learn to communicate with other people. The kings are delighted with Ryu's skills and the fact that he tamed the demon. Gilmers asks if people know why demons attack. The kings say they did it on a whim. Decamelon asks for a detailed explanation of the reason for the attacks in order to solve the problem with words. Gilmers says the queen is strange, demons made them suffer. The demon said that they were forced to attack. All the kings are in shock. Gilmers will understand if she is not believed, but she says that there is a being higher than the demons. This creature is a demonic god. He ordered the demons to attack, but they do not enjoy it. The kings do not understand how this is possible, and why God needs it. The demon queen says that one day the demons asked why they were doing this, but they were immediately killed. Gilmers decided to explain her guesses using the example of farmers who breed livestock. God may also simply grow people for his own purpose. Gilmers compares it to attacks to feed the king. The demons eat the weak so that the strong can develop. When there are no weak left, the harvest begins. Leonhardt asks why God needs this. Gilmers replies that it is most likely due to skills. Rui and the king don't understand what skills have to do with it. The demon asks how people get them. Decamelon answers that through the church. She comes to the conclusion that people receive skills from God. The kings now doubt this, as they doubt the church. The Gilmers claims it was true. She says that she was finally convinced of this after talking with Bishop Biryask. Gilmers says that the demon god and the human god are one being. Leonhardt doesn't understand why all this is necessary. The Ryu say that demons and humans have the same problem, so there is no point in them fighting. The kings support this idea and now want to unite together. Someone calls everyone gathered pathetic. Gilmers recognized this voice and was very scared. He calls everyone in the hall insects. The voice says that punishment awaits all who go against God. The voice is called a god. It appears from above from a cluster of light. Its name is Escatera. It makes kings tremble with fear. God calls himself the world. Rui flew to him. The hero struck Escatera, causing the god to fall to the ground. All members of the summit did not expect such a blow. God lies on the ground. Without strength, Rui tells Gilmers that she can stay here, she is safe now. The hero wants to prove to her that she made the right choice. Escatera quickly stood up and was indignant that Rui had hit him. Rui strikes again and knocks the god into the ground. Escatera says that the hero angered the god. God says that Rui will not survive now. Rui says that even a man can kill a god. The hero is fully prepared for battle. Rui strikes another blow at God. In the heat of battle, Rui tries to find out the whole truth about why he ordered the demons to kill and why he passed on skills to people. The demon doesn't seem to be answering, and Rui crushes the demon's head with his foot. Rui continues to demand an answer to his question. Escatera does not like that man looks down on God. He calls it arrogance. Rui says that he is far from the arrogance of a god and continues to strike. The hero says that everyone, including God, is a grain of sand. The kings watch Ryu's battle and are surprised at how weak the deity is. God doesn't understand how a human can be so strong. He strikes Rui with his skill. God is confident that he killed the hero with one blow, but there is no trace of the god's attack left on Ryui. Escatera does not understand how it is possible that there is no burn, no scratch. Even the clothes are intact. Ryu lunges and pierces the god. The god does not understand how damage is done to his astral body. Rui says that he is the natural enemy of God. The hero says that God is not omnipotent and that Rui can stop him. Rui asks again about transferring skills to humans and orders for demons. He wants to know the reason and hopes that Gilmers is wrong. God laughs in response. He laughs at the fact that Rui hasn't understood anything yet. Escatera replies that this is natural selection. Only the strong should remain. Rui wonders what is happening to the rest. God continues that the strong are selected to become even stronger. Escatera says that he gives power so that people make this power even stronger and return it to God. God calls people seedlings for his power. Rui is angered by this arrogance of the god and he strikes again. Fighting demons makes skills stronger, and the demon wants to get the strength and skills back. Rui realizes that humans strengthen the skills of a god through training, but he wonders why go this way. God replies that he has to use detours because his own strength is already at its limit. God says that people are insects, capable only of surpassing their limits, unlike demons. He thanks people for enhancing his skills. Rui asks why Escatera will become stronger. God says that beyond the world, there are beings much stronger, even for them God insect. Escatera speaks of dragons. Even he trembles at the mention of them. Escatera wants to increase his power to match that of dragons. He doesn't know how many people or how much time it will take, but he doesn't care. It dawned on Rui that the demon god could not be left alive. God says that he told all this because he does not intend to leave anyone alive. God is going to burn everything to the ground with his skill. A Binyan appeared on the battlefield, surrounding the god with a barrier and preventing him from finishing his attack. God understands that before him is a vengeful spirit. He doesn't believe that she was able to nullify his attack. 1534. A Binyan calls this attack a puff and points out the difference between their levels. 1535. God does not like the spirit to interfere with his plans. 1536. A Binyan has once again locked the god in a barrier. He continues to talk about his status and power. 1537. Escatera says that everyone must obey him without question. 1538. A Binyan says that everything around is insignificant and dependence on force is meaningless. 1539. People pass on experiences from generation to generation, trying to find meaning, but a self-proclaimed god tries to confuse all the cards. 1540. A Binyan tells Ryu that there is no point in killing him here, as his power could destroy the entire area. 1541. Ryuya asks a Binyan to raise the chained god higher. 1542. She lifts it high enough, Ryuya prepares to jump. 1543. He rises into the air to strike. 1544. Escatera calls them fools for wanting to kill him. 1545. They want to kill the god who maintains order in this world. 1546. Ryuya replies that they are not killing God, but getting rid of the tumor of this world. 1547. He deals a fatal blow to God. 1548. God realizes that he is about to die. His core is damaged. 1549. Ryuya calls this a reward for God. 1550. God died, causing a giant explosion. 1551. The summit members are happy that Ryuya was finally able to win. 1552. A Binyan asks what to do with the remaining demons who did not swear allegiance to him because of God. 1553. Ryuya replies that he will try to cooperate with him. If they refuse, he will crush them. 1554. A Binyan is delighted with this idea. 1555. She helps Ryuya down to the ground. 1556. The summit was concluded with the killing of the god, and a decision was made to raise an army against the remnants of the demons and the church. The king spoke of the next move.